Welcome to your special guide to Stoicism, a wisdom that has helped many people stay strong, grow, and find happiness. This guide will explain what Stoicism is and how you can apply its ideas to your daily life. Whether you're trying to cope with life's challenges, find strength in difficult times, or simply live a happier life, this guide is exactly what you need. Stoicism shows us how to live in harmony with the world by focusing on what we can influence and learning to let go of what we can't. In this guide, we explain this ancient wisdom to you in a simple and understandable way. You'll learn how to manage your emotions and how to stay calm when things go wrong, just like the Stoics did many years ago. You'll also learn techniques used by famous Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. These include things like keeping a journal, practicing mindfulness, and understanding what you can and can't control. Best of all, we'll show you how to apply these ideas to your real life, whether you're feeling stressed at school or work, dealing with a loss, or trying to achieve your goals. This guide will give you helpful tools that will not only help you get through difficult times, but also enable you to thrive. By incorporating Stoic ideas into your life, you'll develop a stronger mindset that helps you remain calm and clear in any situation. You'll learn how to turn problems into opportunities, how to maintain inner peace even in chaotic times, and how to live a life filled with joy and meaning. Let's begin. The Stoics believed that self-confidence is more than just a feeling. It's a skill and a special way of looking at life. They knew that self-belief is crucial to how much you can achieve. If you don't believe in yourself, it could prevent you from achieving your goals. Think about how often doubt and fear hold even talented people back from giving their best. So what does it mean to have self-confidence? It doesn't just happen. You must first understand and accept yourself. The Stoics believed that true self-confidence comes from recognizing your strengths and weaknesses and using them well. It doesn't come from what others say about you, but from yourself. Epictetus, a wise Stoic, said, "We shouldn't worry about things we can't control. Instead, we should focus on what we can influence, such as our thoughts, feelings, and actions. When we focus on what we can control, we become stronger and better able to overcome challenges." Another important aspect of self-confidence is honesty. It's about being open about who you really are, what you believe, and what you want. When you live according to your own values instead of trying to please others, you create inner peace, which builds true self-confidence. It's also helpful to take time to reflect on yourself. When you consider what you're good at and what you still need to work on, you learn more about yourself and grow. This self-awareness helps you overcome fears and discover your true strength. Staying strong when things don't work out is another important part of confidence. Stoicism teaches us not to fear mistakes, but to see them as opportunities to learn. Instead of being afraid of failure, we should accept it and grow from it. This makes us stronger and better for the challenges that lie ahead. And finally, action also helps us develop trust. The Stoics said it's not enough to just think about things. You have to do them. When you are courageous, face your fears, and stay true to yourself, you build true trust that lasts. To build self-confidence, you must first get to know yourself. Developing your self-confidence isn't about judging yourself, but about discovering who you truly are. Epictetus said that the key to true self-confidence lies in understanding your fears and motivations. When you know yourself well, you know not only what you're good at and what you're not, but also how these things align with your values. Stoicism shows us that we can only truly understand ourselves when we see how our thoughts, feelings, and actions are connected. When we understand this, we feel secure and strong. How can you apply this in your everyday life? Think about what you do when things get difficult. Do you react quickly, or do you act based on what you truly believe? Your self-confidence grows when you make your decisions based on honesty, not fear or the desire to impress others. Before you do anything, take a moment to ask yourself, is this really who I am, and does it align with what I believe? Every time you reflect before you act, you stay true to yourself, and this helps you build your confidence. Remember, the first step to greater self-confidence is truly knowing yourself. This takes time and patience. Along the way, you may be confronted with some uncomfortable truths, but you will also discover new strengths. It's perfectly okay not to have all the answers or to feel insecure from time to time. To get to know yourself, you have to accept that you don't know everything and recognize your limitations. When you do this, you give yourself the freedom to try new things. These experiences can help you see the world and yourself differently. Understanding how powerful your thoughts and beliefs are is also an important part of self-awareness. How you talk to yourself and what you believe about yourself influences your confidence. You can improve your self-perception by thinking positive thoughts about yourself and asking yourself why you sometimes feel insecure. Knowing yourself means recognizing and accepting your feelings. Pay attention to what makes you happy and what scares you. These feelings can tell you a lot about yourself. By listening to your feelings and trying to understand why you feel that way, you'll discover what's truly important to you and what you want to achieve in life. To stay true to yourself, stick to your values, and be honest, you need to know who you are. This can sometimes be difficult, especially when others expect you to behave differently. But staying true to yourself will make you feel stronger and allow you to form honest, deep friendships. In summary, knowing yourself well is the best way to develop self-confidence. When you learn more about yourself, you not only better understand who you are, but you also see the world with new eyes. Every step on this journey helps you become a stronger person. It's also important to understand that there are things we can't change. A key idea in Stoicism is knowing what we can control and what we can't. True confidence comes from recognizing this distinction. It's not about simply giving up, but about accepting things as they are. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said that how we react to things is more important than what happens to us. It takes courage to accept what we can't change, such as other people's behavior or things that have already happened. Accepting these limitations allows you to focus more on what you can truly change: your actions, words, and choices. To build your inner strength, examine how you handle difficult situations in your daily life. Notice when you feel helpless or angry. Ask yourself, am I trying to control something I can't change? Your inner willpower will grow stronger when you focus on what you can change. This will help you become more confident and better able to handle challenges. True self-confidence also means knowing what you can and can't handle. You become stronger when you accept what you can't change and focus on what you can improve. This brings you peace, and that is precisely the sign of true confidence. Epictetus said, "Change what you can." When you think this way, you will find more peace. When you accept what you cannot control and stop trying to change everything, you will become calmer and more content. This calm helps you reflect and make wiser decisions. It helps you better handle difficult situations. Acceptance doesn't mean doing nothing. It means knowing what you can't change and then focusing on what you can. It gives you a sense of control because you realize that while you can't change everything, you can decide how you react. This might also mean letting go of anger about the past or worries about the future. The truth is, we can't change the past and we don't know what will happen tomorrow, but we can make decisions today that will improve our lives. Building self-confidence also means being kind to yourself, especially when things don't go according to plan. Everyone makes mistakes, and that's what helps us learn and move on. Accepting things as they are helps you live a more honest and peaceful life. Imagine you're carrying a heavy backpack full of things you can't control, like the weather, other people's opinions, or unexpected changes. When you put the backpack down and stop trying to control these things, you'll feel much lighter. Now you have more energy to focus on what really matters, living according to your values, doing what makes you happy, and following your passions. When you're honest with yourself and have a clear purpose in life, everything becomes more interesting and fulfilling. Over time, you'll notice your self-confidence grow like a flower blooming in the sun. It's important to come to terms with the things you can't change and focus on what you can. This shift in perspective helps you feel secure and grounded. When you become aware of what you do and how you respond to challenges, you become like a calm place in a storm. You can't stop the storm, but you can choose how you deal with it. When you adopt this attitude, you gain not only self-confidence, but also a sense of wisdom and peace. Life becomes better, richer, and more meaningful when you stop fighting what you can't change and instead respond with calm and clarity. And then there's another important point: the ability to focus on what matters most. The Stoics say that what we think about a lot influences our lives. It's about choosing wisely what to focus our attention on and what to ignore. Aristotle said that our thoughts shape our lives. It takes practice and self-control to focus on what's truly important. It's hard to concentrate when so much is happening around us. This is where Stoic methods come into play, teaching the mind to tune out unimportant things. You learn to focus on your true dreams and goals. Before you try to avoid distractions, it's important to figure out what's distracting you in the first place. Are you worrying too much about the future? Are you spending too much time on social media? Or are you constantly trying to please everyone? Once you recognize these distractions, you can take action to reduce their impact. You could learn to say no more often to things that don't align with your values, or set specific times to put away your phone or computer. This will help you maintain control over your time and energy and focus on what's truly important. Meditation can also help you train your mind to focus on the moment without being distracted. Another good way to focus is to clarify what you want to achieve each day. Ask yourself, what is the most important thing I need to do today? When you keep this priority in mind, everything you do will be more meaningful, and you'll feel more confident because you're acting with a clear goal in mind. When you focus on the essentials and avoid getting lost in the unimportant, you'll not only accomplish more, but also find inner peace. This serenity is key to building self-confidence because it shows that you're in control of your life. The Stoics believed that paying attention isn't just a skill, but a lifestyle. When you focus on what's truly important and let go of the rest, you can live a happier life, one that's calm, focused, and full of meaning. The fourth tip is to become stronger. Stoicism shows us something important. Toughness isn't something you're born with, but something you learn over time. Being strong doesn't just mean overcoming difficult times, but also seeing difficulties as opportunities to grow. There's a saying that says it's not what happens to us that reveals who we are, but how we respond to them. When you stay calm and strive to improve, you demonstrate true strength. Every problem you have offers a lesson. When things go wrong, don't give up. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? This way, every mistake becomes an opportunity to become stronger. Being tough means standing firm when things get tough. You don't let problems scare you or try to escape them. You face them head on. When you conquer your fears, you become stronger and more confident. Remember, toughness isn't just about pushing through tough times. It's also about finding the good in them. Every day feels different as you keep going, whether you're finishing something you've been avoiding or facing a major challenge, like the loss of a loved one. Think like a Stoic. How you react to difficult situations is more important than the situation itself. When you're struggling, stay confident and remember that every challenge helps you become stronger. Being a Stoic means turning problems into strengths and using difficult times to grow. As you stay strong, your confidence will grow too. Toughness is also about accepting that life isn't always easy or fair. It's about understanding that you have the strength to overcome anything. It's not about giving up, but knowing that difficult times are a part of life and that you can overcome them. Try to see the bigger picture instead of just worrying about today's problems. If you want to be strong like a Stoic, remember how these difficult times can help you be better in the future. Another way to develop strength is to be grateful. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, you help yourself stay positive, even in difficult times. Gratitude changes the way you view problems, turning them into opportunities to learn and grow. It's easier to persevere when you have support from others and are part of a community. During difficult times, it's incredibly helpful to be with people who understand and care about you. These connections not only make you happy, but they remind you that you don't have to face your challenges alone. Being tough in the Stoic way means making a promise to yourself to continue growing. It's about seeing every experience, good or bad, as an opportunity to learn more about yourself and the world. This mindset helps you enjoy life's ups and downs, knowing that you can handle and achieve anything you encounter. Ultimately, Tenacity is an excellent way to deal with life's challenges. When things get tough, you should face them, learn from them, and use them to become stronger and more confident. Tenacity doesn't just help us get through difficult times, it helps us grow, become better, and believe more in ourselves. The fifth point, be more humble. It's easy to become proud when you try to be confident, but self-confidence doesn't mean believing you're better than others. Humility plays an important role in Stoicism. Showing humility is one of the best qualities a person can have. Epictetus said that you can't truly learn anything new if you think you already know everything. Humility helps us learn, improve, and build genuine relationships with others. When you choose between humility and pride, you're not choosing to be weak or strong. You're choosing to recognize your own limitations and respect the knowledge and abilities of others. A humble person knows that they can still learn and grow, no matter how smart or skilled they are. Epictetus said that humility doesn't mean thinking badly of yourself. It simply means seeing yourself realistically and understanding that you are not the center of the universe. It can be difficult to remain humble every day, especially when people often place more emphasis on appearance than on genuine qualities. Listen more and talk less. Be open to what others have to say and understand that you don't always have to be right. When you succeed, share the credit with others. Remember that everyone you meet has had different experiences than you. The more humble you become, the more your confidence grows, and the more others will respect you for being open, flexible, and approachable. True humility not only makes you a better person, but also helps you connect with others. So strive to be humble. Only then can you gain true, deep trust. Humility means acknowledging other people's successes and strengths. This shows that you value them and helps you realize that everyone brings something special and important to the world. It reminds us that someone else's success doesn't make us less. When we are humble, we understand that we don't know everything and may need help from others. This is a sign of strength, not weakness. We can grow and improve our relationships when we are willing to learn from others and collaborate. Being humble also means taking time to reflect on our actions, admitting when we've made mistakes, and working to make things right. This is very important for becoming a better person. When we know both our strengths and weaknesses, we can build true self-confidence by being honest with ourselves. Gratitude for what we have, our friends, our family, and our opportunities, is part of humility. It helps us focus on what truly matters. Gratitude connects us to the world and each other and makes us feel like we're part of something bigger. In summary, one of the most important Stoic qualities for building strong, lasting trust is humility. Always be willing to learn from others and the world around you. Treat those around you with respect and honesty, and value yourself without thinking you're better than others. Humility makes us better people and helps make the world kinder and more supportive by showing more consideration and respect for one another. Sixth point, know what's important to you and act accordingly. True confidence comes not only from knowing our beliefs, but above all, from acting on those values. It's like having a goal in mind, but if you don't take the first step, you'll never reach it. When you live every day according to what you believe is right, even in the little things, you feel stronger and gain the feeling that you're truly making a difference. The Stoics understood this well. They knew it's crucial to stay true to yourself and be honest. Imagine a tree standing firmly in the ground. When the storm comes, it remains strong because its roots run deep. It's the same when you live by your beliefs. Even when obstacles arise, you remain stable. Epictetus, a famous Stoic, said, "It's not enough to just say what you want to do. You have to actually do it." Your beliefs become real when you put them into action. So ask yourself regularly, am I acting in a way that reflects what I believe is right? Whether it's being kind, acting honestly, or remaining courageous, every step you take builds your confidence in yourself. It's like building a stable foundation for a house, working every day to keep it solid. It's important to have personal values. These values help us make decisions and choose our path. For example, if you believe in honesty, kindness, or courage, you should implement these principles in your life. When you live with integrity, what you do and say is consistent with what you truly believe. Sometimes there are people who try to derail you or make you act contrary to your values. But every time you stay true to yourself, It strengthens your self-confidence. You prove to yourself that your beliefs really do matter. Take small but impactful steps to ensure your behavior aligns with your values. If you value honesty, always tell the truth even when it's difficult. If kindness is important to you, do good for others, even if no one notices. By performing small, good deeds every day, you'll get closer to the person you want to be. Remember that living according to your values is a journey, not a finish line. Yes, you'll make mistakes, but the important thing is to learn from them. You can be proud of yourself and at the same time set an example for others. When you have your own principles and stay true to them, you'll live a fulfilling and confident life. When you live by your values, you demonstrate your beliefs through your behavior. It's about telling the truth, keeping promises, and always doing what you believe is right. Being honest will build trust with others. To truly live by your values, you need to take responsibility for your actions and consider their consequences. Admitting your mistakes and working to correct them will further increase your confidence in yourself. Regularly consider whether your behavior aligns with your values. By questioning yourself, you can ensure that you always remain true to yourself. This self-reflection will help you continue to grow and improve. 7th tip, be grateful. Gratitude plays a key role in becoming strong and building confidence. It's important to be thankful not only for the big things in life, but also for the little things. Alexander the Great said, "When you wake up in the morning, remember how wonderful it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, and to love." Try writing down 3 things each morning that you're grateful for. It could be a beautiful sunny day, a delicious cup of cocoa, or a friend's smile. This habit will help you focus on the good in your life instead of focusing on what's missing. Gratitude also means appreciating the work and support of others, whether it's family, friends, or even strangers. Expressing gratitude strengthens your relationships and builds a support network during difficult times. It's equally important to be grateful for challenges. Don't see them as problems, but as opportunities to grow and learn. This mindset will help you see yourself as stronger and better appreciate challenges. 8th point, stay curious and open to learning. As you learn new things, your self-confidence will grow. Stoicism isn't just about academic knowledge, but also about remaining curious, both about yourself and the world around us. Epictetus said, "Only the educated are free," which shows how important knowledge is. Try to learn something new every day, be it a new idea, a new topic, or a new skill. Constant learning keeps your mind alive and helps you better cope with change and new challenges. Being curious means broadening your horizons and being open to other perspectives. It's like discovering a new country filled with countless different thoughts and experiences. Listening to people who have lived different lives or have a different perspective not only expands your knowledge, but also teaches you to appreciate diversity and respect the uniqueness of each individual. Every interaction with others is like a mosaic that together creates a beautiful picture of life. Remember that learning never ends. With each new insight, your knowledge and confidence continue to grow. There are simple yet profound truths in life that should be recognized early on. These lessons are like keys that help us better overcome challenges. We will discover 7 of these lessons and learn how they can enrich our path. When we understand these principles, they give us not only knowledge, but also the power to shape our lives. They serve as valuable guideposts that guide us through life and help us achieve our goals. No matter what stage of life you are in, these lessons are relevant to everyone and can help us lead more successful and fulfilling lives. These lessons are like treasure maps passed down from elders to younger ones. They connect the wisdom of the past with the discoveries of today and can point us toward a future filled with hope and success. Imagine finding a valuable chest in a game that yields a vast treasure. Similarly, these lessons can enrich your journey through life. Notice how powerful they can be and allow them to help you grow, learn new things, and find joy. Start heeding these lessons at a young age and carry them with you as you move through life's different stages. Let them guide you to a brighter and more fulfilling future. What are the effects of consuming adult material? Today's digital world makes it incredibly easy to access adult entertainment content just a few clicks away. Platforms like Pornhub, TikTok, Instagram and OnlyFans offer a variety of material that can be consumed instantly. While it may seem harmless at first, accessing such content can have serious repercussions on one's life. Too much exposure to explicit content can upset the delicate balance of one's emotions and sexual desires and cause difficulty understanding healthy relationships and boundaries. In a world where temptation is always just a click away, it can become increasingly difficult to avoid being led astray, which can have negative long-term consequences. This constant struggle to resist one's own desires can also lead to feelings of insecurity, particularly when it comes to one's self-image and perception of masculinity. Historical figures such as the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius addressed this issue. In his Meditations, he discussed how sexual procrastination is a sign of weakness. While such behavior may be exciting in the short term, true strength lies in self-control and moral integrity. This shows how important it is to recognize the potential dangers of such behavior, especially for young people who are just beginning to find their own identity and place in the world. Even people who otherwise behave responsibly can fall into a cycle of repeatedly accessing adult content, which can impair their self-control and influence their ideas of identity and masculinity. Understanding the importance of regaining control over one's desires is crucial for building resilience and setting meaningful goals for self-development. Recognizing the importance of self-control can help build self-confidence and work toward a fulfilling and purposeful life. In a world increasingly dominated by digital media, such lessons are crucial as they help us consciously manage our desires and avoid the potential dangers of mindless consumption. With mindfulness and intention, we can build healthier relationships with ourselves and others. Second, how strong testosterone is. Many people refer to testosterone as the male hormone, and there's good reason for that. It plays a crucial role in many areas of life. Testosterone helps promote strength, motivation, confidence, and physical performance. It supports muscle growth and maintains bone health. In short, testosterone is a key building block of what it means to be a man. It affects not only the physical but also mental and emotional well-being by boosting feelings of energy and assertiveness. In the past, men naturally had high testosterone levels, allowing them to fully reap the benefits of this hormone. However, in today's world, maintaining healthy testosterone levels is often difficult. An unbalanced diet and lack of exercise, two major causes, can negatively impact testosterone levels. Today's overeating habits are particularly problematic. In the past, the daily calorie requirement was around 2,700 calories, but today many people consume around 3,800 calories. These unhealthy diets and lack of exercise lead to various health problems. An excess of calories can lead to weight gain, and this excess fat often contains substances that reduce testosterone in the body. When testosterone levels drop, many men feel weaker, more tired, and lose confidence. One possible solution to this problem is to return to the eating habits of the past. If you limit yourself to approximately 2,700 calories a day, as was common in the past, you can significantly improve your health and well-being. Along with a balanced diet, regular exercise is another key to stabilizing or even increasing testosterone levels. In the 1960s, President Eisenhower took the initiative to promote physical fitness by signing a law requiring high school students to undergo physical fitness tests. These included exercises like pull-ups, sit-ups, and sprints, which kept the body in shape. Today, we don't have to do the same exercises, but the principle remains the same. It's important to stay active. Whether it's playing sports, running, or lifting weights, exercise helps control weight and maintain hormonal balance, including testosterone. By keeping track of your diet and physical activity, you can keep your hormones in balance and enjoy the benefits of healthy testosterone levels. Why mental health is so important? Mental health is incredibly important because it determines how happy we are, how we get along with others, and how we feel overall. Unfortunately, many people tend to ignore or underestimate their mental health, which can lead to serious problems. A worrying trend is the increasing number of suicides, which indicates the urgency of addressing mental health issues. Life is a journey with many ups and downs. Sometimes we reach points where we feel overwhelmed and at a loss. These moments highlight the importance of taking care of our mental health. If we ignore mental health issues, they can harm not only ourselves but also our family, friends, and society. Today, suicides are sadly more common than at any time since major crises like World War II or the Great Depression. Given this alarming trend, we need to change our understanding of mental health. One helpful way to address this issue is to seek professional help, such as a therapist or counselor. Talking to someone knowledgeable about mental health can help organize thoughts and fears and find solutions. Therapy can be a valuable guide in dark times. It can help people gain new perspectives and discover solutions to their problems. Therapy provides the support needed to overcome challenges and take control of one's life. Becoming aware of the importance of mental health means taking responsibility for oneself and demonstrating that one is ready to overcome life's challenges. It's important to know that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a courageous step toward a happier and healthier life. When we take care of our mental health, we show ourselves love and respect, and this has a positive impact on those around us. Especially in times when life can sometimes be difficult, it's crucial that we take care of our inner well-being. 4. A strong body helps the mind stay strong. Our body and mind are like best friends who help each other. They constantly work together, even if we don't always realize it. Imagine they're dancing together. When the body takes a step, the mind follows. When you train your body, for example, by exercising or lifting weights, not only does your body get stronger, but your self-confidence also grows. It's as if you're planting small seeds in your inner garden that, with time and care, grow into strong, beautiful plants. When you feel physically strong, you suddenly have much more confidence in yourself. You go through life more courageously and dare to tackle difficult things. Today, however, we live in a world where exercise is often neglected. Many people spend a lot of time in front of screens and sit more than is good for them. This leads to a decline in our physical strength, and with it, often our sense of accomplishment. That's why it's so important to exercise regularly, especially strength training. Why strength training is so valuable? Strength training isn't about building massive muscles. It's primarily about giving your body a strong foundation and your mind along with it. When you do push-ups, lift weights, or do resistance band exercises, for example, you're not only strengthening your muscles, but also your self-confidence. You realize, wow, I can do something. And that's exactly what gives you the strength to better handle other challenges in life. When you train, you rediscover yourself. You feel your body changing, how you gain more energy, and it feels really good. You'll notice, with every workout, not only your body grows, but also your courage. Things that once seemed too difficult suddenly become doable, and you'll feel the desire to achieve even more. More than muscles, strength that helps everywhere. The great feeling you get from strength training doesn't stay in the gym. It accompanies you at school, at home, with friends, everywhere. Unfortunately, it's also clear that many young people today have less strength than previous generations. This is a sign that exercise and strength are no longer valued as much as they once were. But we can change that. The solution is simple: start moving. When you go to the gym or work out at home, you'll regain your strength. And more than that, you'll become more confident, more determined, and more capable of doing things. Every weight you lift is a small victory for your body and for your mind. You'll realize that training isn't just about how you look. It's about who you are, courageous, strong, and full of potential. The gym isn't just a place for exercise. It's a place where you learn to believe in yourself and grow, little by little, rep by rep. 5. Get rid of external validation. The desire to be liked by others plays a major role in our lives, especially today, when we're constantly connected to one another via the internet. On platforms like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, many people appreciate the love, kind comments, and followers. But those who constantly seek such validation can quickly feel empty or sad inside. Sometimes, even their self-confidence suffers. It's natural to want others to like us, especially online. Hearts and positive feedback make us feel like we belong or have done something right. But when we start believing that our worth depends on how many people agree with us, we lose something important: self-confidence. Our feelings can then suddenly depend on what others think of us, and that changes how we see ourselves. If we constantly hope for praise, it can quickly make us unhappy. We may begin to doubt whether we're good enough. Some people then feel anxious or even depressed. And the more often this happens, the harder it becomes to like ourselves without others telling us to. To escape this, it's good to think differently about feedback. The goal doesn't have to be to always receive applause. Instead, we can spend more time creating something ourselves, rather than just watching what others are doing. This is a powerful step. When we write, paint, or craft, for example, we can share our thoughts and ideas. And that feels really good, even without comments or likes from outside. Being creative with pictures, stories, or other ideas helps us grow and strengthens our self-esteem. When we focus less on the things that often put pressure on us or make us feel bad, we can find more joy in ourselves. It helps if we watch content that teaches us something, encourages us, or makes us happy. This makes it easier to avoid constantly comparing ourselves to others. And the less we depend on external approval, the freer we feel. Because then we realize our worth doesn't depend on how many thumbs up we get, but on who we are. When we create, instead of just consuming, we break through the desire for constant validation, and in the process discover how unique we truly are. Sixth, the effects of excessive playing video games can be great fun and are a popular hobby for many today. But overdoing it can be detrimental to both body and soul. Playing too often and for too long can lead to difficulties in everyday life that aren't always immediately noticeable. One consequence of too much gaming is that you can gain weight. Sitting for hours, barely moving, and often eating unhealthy snacks can put a strain on your body. Without enough exercise, you burn less energy, and this can lead to obesity in the long run. People who constantly play often move less, and this exacerbates the problem. Regular exercise is important for keeping our bodies fit and healthy. If we barely move because we spend so much time gaming, we can get sick. But it's not just our bodies that suffer. Our thoughts and emotions can also become disrupted. Too many hours in front of a screen, for example, can lead to poor sleep, feelings of sadness, or rapid anxiety. Gaming for very long periods disrupts our sleep balance and prevents us from sleeping well. This can cause you to lie awake at night or not get enough rest. This makes you tired and weakens your body. Furthermore, a feeling of dissatisfaction can gradually set in. If you hardly spend any time with other people, you can feel lonely. And if you have no one to talk to or laugh with, you sometimes feel empty or sad. But out in the real world, many wonderful experiences and encounters await. There's so much to discover, and so many people with whom you can experience amazing things, and no game can replace that. To prevent gaming from making us sad or sick, it's important to find the right balance. You don't have to give up video games completely, but you should make sure you do other things in your daily life that are good for your body and heart. If you limit your gaming time and spend more time with friends, doing things with family, or being active outdoors, you'll usually feel better. Games can be a wonderful pastime as long as you use them wisely. A good balance between gaming and real life is good for both body and soul. When you focus on beautiful things outside the digital world, life can become much more colorful and joyful, and then the games sometimes lose a little of their power all by themselves. 7. Why it is important to find friends. Our connections to other people are like invisible threads that hold our lives together. For many of us, being with others is simply a part of our lives, almost as important as eating or sleeping. It not only brings joy, but can also profoundly change our lives. But those who are very reserved or feel insecure around large groups sometimes find it difficult to make connections. This can make it more difficult to realize certain dreams or achieve goals. But that doesn't mean that reserve or shyness is bad. It just shows how helpful it is to connect with others to bring out the best in yourself. Quieter people often have particular strengths. They think a lot, are very empathetic, and can understand others well, but they too can gain a lot if they dare to approach others. Those who gradually step out of their comfort zone and dare to talk to others, even if it's just for small conversations, can become more confident, communicate better, and make friends more easily. Some people suffer from severe nervousness when they're around others. This is nothing to be ashamed of. Many people experience it. But there are helpful ways to cope. With support, patience, and sometimes even talking to professionals, you can learn to cope better with your anxiety. This can lead to more confidence, talking to others more often, and thus discovering new opportunities. Many people believe that you're born with a special charm, but that's not true. Everyone can learn to be open, warm, and persuasive. It's not about appearing perfect, but about engaging with others honestly and kindly. When you show others that you're genuinely interested, make them smile, and listen to them, they feel comfortable around you. This skill can help you work well with others, take on responsibility, and discover new opportunities, whether at school, at work, or in everyday life. Whether you're having a conversation, listening to a friend, or meeting new people, those who are good at connecting with others often stand out. Close relationships are built on genuine interest, trust, and shared experiences. Every conversation is like a small seed being planted. If you nurture it, something big can grow from it. Friendship, support, or even a new adventure. Encounters with open eyes and a kind heart can enrich your life. If you're willing to share stories, listen carefully, and show interest in others, you'll strengthen your own presence and create an atmosphere of respect and closeness. And with a little practice, it will become easier and easier. Soon you'll notice that this magic, what many call charisma, is within you too. Every new encounter can be an opportunity to learn something or grow, so dare to go ahead and start a conversation. You'll be amazed at how much beauty can emerge from it. Through contact with others, we explore new paths and gain valuable experience. Think about it. Sure, good grades and knowledge are important, but how you interact with others is just as crucial. Many opportunities in life arise from conversations, from listening, and from people who believe in you. When you meet someone, you never know what exciting adventures might arise. So if you feel like you want to share more, tell yourself, I'm ready for new conversations, and get going. Open yourself up to others, listen, and talk about yourself. Every small step counts. In the end, it's okay if you feel shy sometimes. The important thing is to know you can work on it and even grow in the process. You don't have to become someone else. It's about finding the courage to approach people and experience things together. Even a simple conversation with a neighbor or a nice moment with a classmate can be a start. When you open up, you'll see your life brighten. You'll gain new perspectives, perhaps even find a mentor or a friend for life. Social connections can fill your heart and guide you along the way. Take the first step, perhaps at an event, in a group, or simply with a smile. You'll be surprised at how much good can come from it. On our journey through life, we learn many important things, and every insight takes us a step further. For example, we've understood how certain content can affect us, how strongly hormones influence our bodies, how important our inner state is, why it's good to be physically fit, and also why playing games for too long can sometimes be harmful. Last but not least, we've discovered how valuable true friendship is. These experiences help us grow, better overcome challenges, and stay strong. At the end of this stage, we shouldn't forget, life is like an exciting game that never stops, and all the things we've learned are like special tips that help us cope better. True strength doesn't come from a single lesson, but from the interplay of many small insights. Throughout our lives, we can learn, try new things, and develop further. Always keep in mind, you have the freedom to make decisions and the opportunity to get to know yourself well. Try to learn from difficult moments and see mistakes as opportunities to do better. Take good care of yourself, your body, your heart, and your mind, and nurture your friendships. When you do this, your life will be richer, more fulfilling, and happier. Let these thoughts be the beginning of your next steps toward the best version of yourself. Don't forget, your story continues. You will grow, develop, and discover new possibilities. Every day brings a new opportunity to use your knowledge and make wise decisions. Stay curious, you will find your own path. On our further journey, we now meet 9 types of people where we should be careful about who we trust. It's not about judging others, but about taking care of ourselves. Together, we'll look at how we can protect our hearts and maintain our inner peace. 1. People who influence others to their own advantage. First, let's look at people who are skilled at secretly manipulating others. These people often appear friendly and helpful, but behind their pleasant facade sometimes lies a plan to exploit others. They know exactly how to disguise themselves to get what they want. How do you recognize them? Pay attention to whether what they say matches what they do. They may promise something but not keep it. How they talk about others can also reveal a lot. Someone who constantly speaks negatively about others may also be saying things behind your back that aren't true. Some exploit emotions. They make you feel like you've done something wrong, even though that's not the case. Or they pretend they're the victim just to get sympathy. They distort facts until you doubt yourself. Remember, trust is something very valuable. When someone repeatedly violates your trust, it can hurt a lot, not only in your heart, but also in your soul. If you often feel sad, empty, or insecure after a conversation with someone, it could be a sign that this person isn't good for you. What can you do? It's very important to set clear boundaries. Imagine you're drawing a line. That's your personal boundary. You decide what you allow and what you don't. If someone asks you to do something that feels wrong, feel free to say no. This shows that you're taking care of yourself. It also helps not to reveal everything about yourself. Some things should only be known to people you truly trust. The less that person knows about your thoughts and feelings, the better you can protect yourself from their tricks. In some cases, it's even necessary to completely distance yourself from such a person, especially if you notice that you're consistently having a bad time with that person. Even if that's difficult, for example, with a close friend or family member, your mental health is important, and sometimes distance is the best thing you can do for yourself. An ancient wisdom, Stoicism, is about seeing things as they truly are, not as you would like them to be. When you recognize that someone isn't treating you honestly, you can better decide how to deal with it. This way, you make room in your life for people who truly respect you and are good for you. So stay tuned. In the next section, we'll continue with the second type of person you need to be careful with. Remember, if you know what to look out for, you can protect yourself much better, and that will help you find real friendships and avoid bad experiences. Second, the never-ending critic. 2. The person who constantly complains. Now let's talk about a type of person you're better off keeping at arm's length. People who always have something to complain about. They often seem like they're never truly satisfied. No matter what it is, your ideas, your dreams, or even little things in everyday life, they always find something they don't like. The difficult thing about these people isn't just what they say, but why they act the way they do. Most of the time, their complaining has nothing to do with you, but rather with what they themselves are feeling. Perhaps deep down, they are insecure or sad and take it out on others. How can you deal with this? First of all, it's important to recognize whether someone is genuinely trying to help you or whether they're just bad-mouthing everything. Constructive advice can make us better, but mean words drag us down. If you notice yourself feeling smaller and sadder after a conversation, it might be time to step back a bit. Imagine trying to fill a leaky glass with water. This is what it feels like when you're repeatedly surrounded by negative energy. Your positive thoughts are quickly lost. Stoicism, an ancient way of life, reminds us, you can't control what others do or say, but you can decide how you deal with it. Set friendly but clear boundaries. Feel free to say that you're open to advice, but that you don't want to be mistreated. If the person's behavior doesn't improve, it's okay to spend less time with them. Your heart and self-esteem are valuable and deserve protection. We learn something important from these people, that staying true to yourself shows strength. If you choose not to let the bad words get to you, you will remain calm and courageous within. On our journey through life, it's wise to know which opinions truly help us and which we can let float by like a leaf in the wind. 3. The friend who is only there when everything goes well. Now we meet a type of friend who seems nice at first, but often disappears when things get difficult. This type of friend likes to be there when you're having fun, when everything is easy and going well. But as soon as problems arise or you're sad, they're suddenly gone, like a shadow that disappears when the sun sets. Such friends often seem very friendly, as long as you're laughing and happy. They celebrate with you, rejoice in your success, but when you need someone to talk to or simply a comforting look, they're not there. That can be painful, because it's precisely in difficult moments that you see who's truly on your side. It can be difficult to recognize this type of friend, especially when things are going well. Pay attention to how someone reacts when you share worries or problems. If they're evasive, pretend like nothing's wrong, or constantly make excuses, then they might not be a friend you can rely on in difficult times. If you're dealing with such people, enjoy the good times, but be careful when it comes to your heart. Only talk about your feelings with those who will truly listen and be there for you. Stoicism reminds us to discover our own strength. True friends help you when life is stormy, not just when the sun is shining. Look for people who genuinely love you, with all your sides, even the quiet and sad ones. These are the ones who will accompany you, even in the rain. 4. The person who talks a lot about others. Now let's look at another type of person with whom caution is better. People who like to talk about others, usually behind their backs. They often pass on things that aren't true or don't help anyone. Their stories often sound like a jumble of, "I heard that," and are rarely meant kindly. Why do they do this? Usually they want attention or to feel better about themselves. Perhaps they have their own problems and are using their stories to distract from them. There are two major dangers. First, you yourself could eventually become the subject of discussion. And second, their behavior will reveal how little they truly value the trust of others. An old saying goes, "Those who talk to you about others will also talk to others about you." So how do you deal with it? The best thing is to not join in. If they start gossiping about others, change the subject or politely back off. Don't tell such people personal things, because you don't know what they'll do with it. Stoics learn to focus on their own lives instead of talking about others. This calms the heart and brings more peace. When you leave such people behind, you have more space for conversations that make your life more beautiful, and the lives of those around you too. 5. The person who only revolves around himself. Next, we encounter someone who constantly puts themselves in the spotlight. At first glance, this person often appears very confident and charming, as if they have everything under control. But beneath the surface, they usually only care about making sure everything revolves around them. They love to be admired, enjoy talking about themselves, and often want to be right. In doing so, they forget how important it is to listen to others. One often gets the impression that they are only friendly when it benefits them. Such people can make you believe that you always have to agree with them or follow them. But friendship means being there for each other, not just for one person's wishes. If you're dealing with someone like this, be careful. Consider whether the relationship is balanced, whether you feel comfortable or rather drained. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to have your opinion. And you're allowed to protect yourself if someone tries to belittle you to make themselves appear bigger. Remember, you are just as important as everyone else. True friendship develops when two people meet as equals, with respect, listening, and genuine affection. 6. The person who makes everything revolve around them. Some people are so self-absorbed that others seem like mere extras on their stage. They want to be admired and enjoy being the center of attention, not because they want to get to know you better, but because it reinforces their own sense of importance. When you talk to someone like this, you might find yourself trying to encourage them or be nice to them, but you get little in return. It feels like you're giving a lot, but getting almost nothing. These people often seem particularly convincing. They know how to present themselves well, with sparkling words, plenty of self-confidence, and a friendly face. But as soon as you want your relationship to be about mutual listening and giving, their true nature reveals itself. Then you realize they're barely interested in how you're doing. They quickly bring every conversation back to themselves. To avoid losing yourself in the process, you need inner strength. You can stand up for yourself and say, "This far and no further." Remember, this person's behavior says more about them than about your worth. If you expect them to show you the same respect you show them, you could be disappointed. The philosophy of the Stoics, an ancient way of life, reminds us to focus on what we can control: our decisions, our attitude, our heart. This is especially helpful when dealing with someone who is primarily self-centered. By keeping a certain distance and not taking everything to heart, you maintain your inner peace. You aren't responsible for changing someone else, but you can protect yourself. When you stay away from this kind of self-love, your inner strength grows, and your heart has more room for honest connections. 7. The person who praises a lot, but not always honestly. Now we're talking about someone who seems very friendly at first glance. This person has a talent for making others feel good. With kind words, they make you feel seen and appreciated. But sometimes there can be a plan hidden behind the smile. Some people use compliments like a tool, not just to be kind, but to get something. Maybe they want you to agree with them, help them, or do something they want. At first it feels nice, like a warm ray of sunshine after a rainy day. But the more compliments you receive, the more you should pay attention. Does the praise really come from the heart? Or does it sound exaggerated, almost like a bit of a show? A flatterer can be very persuasive. Their words seem soft and pleasant, and sometimes you don't even realize that you're slowly starting to overlook your own boundaries. Maybe you say something you don't really want to, just because it felt so nice to be liked. That's why it's important to stay alert. You can be happy when someone praises you, but you can also pause for a moment and consider, is this sincere, or is someone trying to influence me? If someone frequently compliments you but also sets expectations or puts pressure on you, it's wise to take a step back. Words may sound friendly, but whether they're truly genuine often only reveals themselves in behavior. Stoic philosophy says, genuine recognition is more valuable than empty words. If we learn not to make our self-esteem dependent on others, especially those who only want something from us, we remain free and strong. You can appreciate yourself for who you are, and you don't have to wait for others to tell you how great you are, especially if they're only saying it to achieve something. 8. The person who always seems sad. Now we meet someone who often finds life very difficult. This person sometimes seems as if a grey cloud is hovering over their head. They often think that life is unfair and that everything and everyone is against them. It's perfectly normal to feel compassion when someone is sad. And yes, everyone has a bad day or needs comfort. But for some people, sadness seems to never end. They get stuck in this feeling and sometimes even use it to get attention or to avoid taking responsibility. The difficult thing is, these people rarely look for ways to improve their situation. Instead, they point the finger at others and say, "It's your fault." Conversations with them often revolve only around worries and problems. There's hardly any room for lightness, hope, or new ideas. You can recognize such people by the fact that they always see themselves as victims and blame others for how they feel. They cling to a feeling of helplessness and prefer pity to change. When you're dealing with someone like this, it's important to remain friendly, but also to take care of yourself. You can want to help, but you don't have to let yourself be drawn into their darkness. Sometimes the best thing you can do is show them you are strong enough to make a difference. And if they don't want to accept that, you can protect yourself. The teachings of the Stoics remind us we can't change everything, but we can decide how we react to situations. We can be compassionate without losing ourselves. When you learn to say no lovingly and not allow yourself to be drawn into the worries of others, you will become more free inside. Because compassion is important, but it's just as important to take care of your own heart. 8th, those who are jealous. Now we meet a type of person who often feels something very specific, envy. This means that they are secretly sad or dissatisfied when others experience or achieve something good. At first glance, they often appear nice, helpful, or even admiring, but deep down, they struggle with the feeling of not being good enough or of missing out on something others have. These people sometimes say things that sound like praise, but feel somehow awkward or strange. They may try to downplay successes or make them seem less special. It's not always easy to tell whether someone is genuinely happy for you or just pretending. One sign can be when someone compares your good news with their own stories, which are meant to show that they are better or have achieved more. When you're dealing with people like this, it's important to realize how valuable you are. Don't let yourself be persuaded that you're less than good just because someone else is jealous. You can be proud of yourself, but think carefully about who you share your wonderful experiences with. Sometimes it's better to keep some things to yourself if you notice that it makes someone feel bad or react strangely. The ancient Stoics, people who thought deeply about life, said, "Focus on your own path. You don't have to adopt what others feel or think. If you maintain your inner peace and don't allow yourself to be unsettled, you will remain true to yourself." Now that we've discussed this eighth type, let's prepare for the final leg of our little journey. Each type of person we've met brings us important insights about ourselves and others. Let's continue together. Ninth, those who criticize a lot. Now we come to the last personality type on our journey, people who judge a lot and are often very critical. These people usually have very fixed ideas about how things should be. If someone thinks or lives differently than they do, they often react harshly or negatively. They often only see flaws and show little interest in understanding others. Such people can make it difficult to have a good conversation because they consider their opinion to be the only correct one. They may believe they know better what is right and wrong, and this makes them feel superior. But their harsh words can be hurtful, especially if they don't try to put themselves in other people's shoes. You can recognize such people by the fact that they often don't accept other points of view. They'd rather convince than listen. If you're dealing with someone like this, it's good to stick to your own opinion and avoid getting drawn into arguments that lead nowhere. Feel free to say you think differently, and do so politely. It's important to know that you don't have to convince everyone. You're allowed to maintain your own point of view, even if others don't share it. The Stoic way of life also helps us here. It teaches us to remain calm and friendly and to listen with an open heart, even when others don't. Those who are strong within can also handle difficult opinions calmly. This way, we protect ourselves from negative feelings and stay true to ourselves. Before we conclude this special journey, during which we've met 9 different types of people, let's remember why we've discussed all this. Not to put others down, but to better understand who we want to surround ourselves with. Each personality we've discovered shows us something important about others and about ourselves. Thank you for joining me on this journey. With what we've learned, we can choose more carefully who we spend our time with, because good relationships make our lives brighter, kinder, and stronger. A quick look ahead. What will help us? Did you know that many people spend more time watching TV shows than thinking about their value in relationships? That's actually crazy, right? It's good to value yourself, but it's even more important to live in a way that others recognize our worth and treat us with respect. You can learn how to maintain healthy friendships and relationships. It's a skill many people don't even know they have. An old and helpful way of thinking is the Stoicism. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's not a harsh or unfeeling philosophy, quite the opposite. It helps us recognize what's truly important in life, and especially in our relationships. Stoicism shows us how to remain calm, even when things get difficult. It reminds us that we are in control of our thoughts and actions, even when chaos reigns around us. This gives us security and strength. When you start thinking this way, you'll notice you'll be better able to stand up for yourself, set boundaries, and honestly express what you need, while still remaining friendly and open. This creates relationships that strengthen you, not weaken you. This isn't a typical advice book with empty slogans. It's real, and it can change your life. Come, let's embark on a journey of discovery together. With a few simple thoughts from Stoic philosophy, you can begin to understand yourself better. And this will help not only you, but also the people you get along well with. You can become braver and discover new sides of yourself that make you strong, both internally and in your relationships with others. Let's discover together how you can become clearer, more loving, and stronger in matters of the heart. Take good care of yourself, because what you learn here could change many things for the better. Understanding your worth. You might be thinking, not another one about self-love. You might think it's just about saying nice things to yourself in the mirror, but stay with me for a moment. Do you know what silence can show you? It helps you feel more at peace with your own worth, especially in your relationships with others. The ancient Stoics said, focus on what you can truly influence, and you know what? You have the power to recognize your own worth. It doesn't matter how many people like your picture or who thinks you're great. What matters is how you see yourself and how you treat yourself. Imagine you're a special gemstone, one you don't often find. Not everyone immediately recognizes how special this stone is. Some simply pass by, but that doesn't make it any less precious. It's the same with you. If someone doesn't recognize how wonderful you are, it doesn't mean you're any less valuable. And now let's get started. You've probably felt rejected before, like you're not good enough, especially when you feel like everyone around you is perfect. But here's the key. Your worth doesn't depend on what others think of you. It's revealed in the good you do, how you treat others, and how you live your life. Are you honest? Do you show compassion? Are you someone who listens to others? That's where your true shine lies. For the Stoics, it was important to reflect on yourself. So take a moment to discover what makes you who you are. Not just what everyone can see, but also the quiet, deeper sides. Are you courageous, loyal, or particularly understanding? These things make you special, and when you truly feel this, how you interact with others will also change. Being proud of yourself doesn't mean you have to accept it when someone treats you badly. You are worth more than that. The next time you feel like you're being overlooked, remind yourself, what good do I bring to the world? What strengths do I have? And then quietly tell yourself, just to yourself, that you are important, even if no one else notices right now. A famous thinker, Marcus Aurelius, once said, "You have power over your thoughts, not over what happens outside." When you recognize this, you become strong. In relationships, this means stay true to yourself, regardless of what others think. Feeling your own worth isn't a goal you reach once and for all. It's a path you grow on bit by bit. Therefore, you can tell yourself every day, I am significant, not because others say so, but because it's true. The next step, treat yourself well. You might think of Stoics as serious people who never laugh, but that's a misconception. It's not about hiding your feelings or not caring about anything. It's about choosing carefully where you focus your attention and how you show up in your relationships. So let's look at how to treat ourselves with respect. Sometimes we try so hard to please others that we forget who we really are. Maybe we dress differently or change our voice, just to make a better impression. But in reality, something else matters: how you behave, how you act, and the choices you make. Imagine you're watching two people meeting in a cafe. One is acting particularly conspicuous and trying to make an impression. The other is quiet and simply seems genuine. Who do you think will stick in your memory more? Probably the one who's just being themselves. That's the power of true self-respect. How do you do that? It's simple. Be yourself and own it. If you love books, that's wonderful. If something moves you, you can show it. It's not about being perfect, but about being honest with yourself. Because just the way you are exactly right. How you treat yourself is also important. If you belittle yourself, others might think they can do the same. As another great philosopher said, it's not what happens that matters, but how you react to it. In matters of the heart, it's not just about how you look or what you say, but also about how you remain who you are in difficult moments. Are you doing something out of fear, or because you're important to yourself? Are you putting on a show to fit in, or are you sticking to what you truly believe, even when you're alone? No one is always strong. We all have moments when we don't feel safe. But the question is, do you let it get you down, or do you keep going step by step? Each of these moments can teach you something. So how can you show yourself more respect? Perhaps by setting clear boundaries or saying no more often when something isn't good for you. Maybe it's simply about treating yourself with more kindness. When you start treating yourself with respect, others will also view you with more attention and respect. Not everyone has to know everything. This might sound harsh at first, but listen to me for a moment. It's not about making yourself scarce or acting mysterious. It's more about valuing yourself and treating yourself with care. The Stoic mindset helps you avoid getting lost in everything and calmly decide what really matters. In a world where you can share everything quickly and get instant attention, sometimes it's special not to show everything right away. Especially when it comes to affection or special encounters, many people reveal a lot about themselves very quickly. Their time, their thoughts, their hearts. But the Stoics would invite you to pause for a moment. Why? Because something can retain its magic even if it's not immediately visible. Think about it. What makes someone exciting? It's not that they're always there or tell you everything right away, is it? There's something beautiful about taking time for yourself and for others. You get to decide what you share with the world and what you keep for yourself. This way, you not only show that you respect yourself, but also that you understand how valuable you truly are. How to restrict access. Okay, let's take a look at this together. How can you show, in a friendly and calm way, that you're not giving everything away right away? It starts with the little things in everyday life. It's not about appearing conspicuous or dressing up. Rather, it's a sign that you respect yourself when you dress and behave in a way that makes you feel comfortable. You're showing, I care about myself. This isn't about hiding, but about maintaining a balanced level of openness and reserve. Your time and attention are also valuable. In a world where everything moves so fast and there's always something going on, it's a sign of strength when you decide for yourself who you spend your time with. You don't have to play games, but you can say, I want to use my time meaningfully. When you're with someone, listen carefully and really be there. But it's just as okay to be unavailable sometimes. Focus on things that are good for you, on your hobbies and your personal development. This will keep you calm and stable inside. The Stoics show us, restraint doesn't mean being cold or aloof. It means not getting flustered over every little thing. You shouldn't pour your heart out to everyone right away. Your feelings, your time, and your attention are valuable and should be shared thoughtfully. That doesn't mean you have to act like a statue. We all want closeness and friendship, but when you approach things slowly and with feeling, something real emerges, something that lasts because it's based on trust and mutual respect. It's not about excluding others or intentionally being difficult to reach. It's about being loving and honest with yourself. When you demonstrate self-respect through your behavior, others understand that you deserve respect. Feel free to be a little picky about this. It's not rude, but it shows that you care about yourself. Sometimes it's not so easy to find the right path in relationships. It requires a mixture of openness and caution, giving and sometimes taking a step back. When you set these kinds of boundaries, many people will suddenly treat you differently. They notice that you are aware of your worth, and that's something very special. Those who present themselves with self-confidence and inner strength send a clear message to others. I know what I'm worth. So let's adopt this attitude, as the Stoics demonstrated. When you find yourself in a new friendship or relationship, be mindful. Pay attention to what you need and remember, you deserve a connection that's good for you, one that allows you to grow and is built on genuine respect. Together, we can find a path that leads to relationships that are healthy and genuine, because they're lived with heart, mind, and appreciation. Sometimes it's more effective to show how you think than just say it. This is exactly what the Stoics meant with their motto, "Show me with your behavior." This is especially important when it comes to boundaries. Many people say, I want to be treated well, but what matters is whether you actually live that. Do you stick to your convictions even when it's difficult? That's when true strength is revealed. If someone disregards your rules or doesn't treat you honestly, how do you deal with it? Do you stick to what you said before? Then you prove to yourself and others that you mean it. You can clearly and kindly state what bothers you, or you can withdraw from a situation. Not to pick a fight, but because you respect yourself enough to follow your own path. It's important that your behavior aligns with your values. Living this way can change a lot. Over time, others will recognize your boundaries, and they'll notice that you protect them. This doesn't just apply to big decisions, but also to the little things we encounter every day. What do you do when someone simply cancels or ignores you? Do you say something about it, or do you remain silent? If you stay true to yourself and act honestly, even in moments like these, then your boundaries become clearer. It's not about being stubborn, but about trusting your gut. It often shows you very clearly what's right. Pay attention to what you do. Are you behaving the way you would like others to behave? If you are aware of these questions in your everyday life, you will notice how much clarity you bring into your relationships, and others will see. Here is someone who takes themselves seriously. And that is one of the most powerful messages you can send. Step 5. Prepare for the farewell. There's a profound idea in Stoicism. the ability to detach yourself internally. This doesn't mean you have no feelings or are aloof. It simply means recognizing what you can influence and what you can't. Especially in relationships, we sometimes face the question, should I stay or should I leave? Just considering this decision and taking it seriously is a big step. Many people know that silent feeling in their hearts that says, I shouldn't be treated like that. Nevertheless, we sometimes stay, perhaps because we hope things will get better, because we don't want to be alone, or because we're afraid of what comes next. Stoic philosophy shows us that it takes courage to let go of a situation if it doesn't align with our inner values. This doesn't mean we should run away at the slightest problem. A relationship requires patience, compassion, and genuine effort. But when you realize something isn't right, it helps to know your own standards. Courage then means telling yourself, I am worthy of being treated well. Self-respect is demonstrated by being willing to separate yourself from things or people that aren't good for you. This doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's enough to quietly acknowledge, this isn't a good fit for me. Taking this step can be difficult because you don't know what will happen next. But if we make room for trust, as the Stoics do, we realize that uncertainty is also a part of life, and it can help us move forward. When we let go of what doesn't truly help or strengthen us, space is created for things that are a better fit for us. It's like tidying up a room. Suddenly there's more room to breathe. Then something new can enter that's good for us. Letting go doesn't show coldness, but rather self-respect. It's a way of saying, I'm important and I deserve better. In difficult moments, it's important to stay true to yourself. Our worth doesn't depend on how others treat us or what they say. What matters most is how they act. Stoics invite us to be wise in real life. They say, don't just pay attention to words, pay attention to what's really happening. This can be a good compass, especially in relationships. Some people talk beautifully, promise a lot, and talk about a great future. But do they actually live it? Do they really do what they say? That's exactly how you can tell if someone is being honest. When we see that, we can make smart decisions, ones that show we respect ourselves, and that's how relationships develop that are truly good for us. Let's be honest, this has probably happened to all of us. Someone says really great things, and we're impressed. But after a while we realize they don't keep their promises, they don't get in touch even though they said they would, or they make plans and then suddenly change them. Still, we cling to what they said. This is precisely where we can show our inner strength. The philosophy of Stoicism helps us with this. It says, don't let words or feelings deter you from doing the right thing. If someone acts differently than they speak, it's a sign. Take a closer look. It's as if life is quietly warning us. When we learn to pay attention to people's behavior, our perspective on relationships changes. Then we don't just hear what's being said, we also pay attention to the small signs in everyday life. What do they do when they're stressed? Do they keep their word? Are they there for you when you need them, or only when it's convenient for them? And here's where something special happens. You're making a statement. When you make it clear that you're looking at actions, not just words, others understand that you're not simply satisfied with nice words. You want real connection. That's not harsh or distrustful, but wise and protective. It means you're taking care of yourself. It means you're patient and walking your path with an open but alert heart. This attitude is especially helpful when it comes to love or new relationships. Many people say things that make us happy, and sometimes we want them to be true so much that we miss warning signs. But it's precisely in these moments that our inner calm helps us. A little doubt can be very valuable. That doesn't mean you're negative, just that you don't believe everything right away. Imagine you meet someone who seems really nice. Maybe they talk about future plans or often tell you how special you are. But your cautious side thinks, it's still early days. I want to see if what they do really matches what they say. That's not coldness, it's wisdom. And it helps you keep both feet firmly on the ground, even if your heart is currently full of hope. When we talk about healthy doubt, it's not about constantly distrusting someone or questioning everything they do. It's more about being vigilant. It means looking and listening closely to understand whether someone is being honest, and whether their words match their actions. It's important to take the time to really get to know someone. The Stoic thoughts remind us to use our heads before deciding based solely on our hearts. This is especially helpful in friendships or other relationships. When we combine our feelings with a touch of reflection, we often become more aware of what's going on. At the same time, it also means taking care of yourself. A little bit of restraint protects our hearts from being hurt. We take the time to get to know the other person as they truly are, not just as we would like to see them. Patient doubt doesn't mean building walls around ourselves, but rather slowly and mindfully opening doors. It's about caution, not closedness. We can be curious, but also wise in doing so. Sometimes you have to have the courage to say no. That's the power of no. Knowing what's important to you and standing by it is a great sign of inner strength. It's not always easy, especially when you like someone. Imagine you're out with someone and they suggest something you don't feel comfortable with. Maybe it just doesn't fit with your own ideas or doesn't feel right. It would be easy to just say yes to avoid an argument, but it's precisely in moments like these that true courage is revealed. When you say no, you're not just saying no to the situation, you're saying yes to yourself. You're showing that you respect yourself enough not to let yourself be pressured into something that doesn't suit you. And yes, it's possible that someone won't understand or even leave. But if someone only likes you if you adapt and forget your own beliefs, it might be better for them to move on, because friendships and relationships based on genuine respect last longer and feel much better. Setting boundaries doesn't mean being harsh or unkind. It shows that you know what you need, and that helps others understand you better. You invite them to approach you with respect and openness as well, and that's precisely what creates deep, genuine connections, not ones driven by fear or insecurity, but ones based on trust and mutual respect. Saying no shows that you take yourself seriously. It's not about controlling others, but about staying true to yourself. You tell yourself, I know what's good for me and I won't let fear push me into something that's harmful. Sometimes the wisest thing is to stay courageous and not give in, even if that means going it alone. You shouldn't chase after someone who's drifting away. Stoic thought says, focus on what you can control and let the rest go. If someone turns away from you, it's not your job to hold them back. You can't control what others feel or do, but you can decide how you deal with it. You can choose to stay true to yourself, be proud, and move on calmly. That sounds easier than it is. It takes a lot of strength not to run in the direction someone is moving away from, but that's where your true strength lies. You believe that someone who truly wants to be with you will stay of their own accord. You don't measure your worth by whether someone stays or leaves. You tell yourself, I am enough just the way I am, and if someone doesn't recognize that, it's not my fault. This perspective changes the way you deal with intimacy and friendship. It's as if you carry a warm light within you, showing you where you are safe. You're not chasing anyone. You're waiting for people to come to you because they truly see and appreciate you. And that's something very special. This way of thinking changes everything. It helps you feel powerful. You're no longer like a leaf in the wind, blown back and forth by the whims of others. Instead, you determine how you feel and what you want to do. This gives you strength, and quite honestly, it sets you free. It's something special when you stop focusing solely on others and instead begin to value yourself and your own path. People who admire your clarity, courage, and loving approach to yourself will approach you of their own accord. It's as if you're quietly saying, I know I'm valuable. When connections prevent you from growing, that's a strong sign. A friendship that ends quickly may never have been truly deep. This makes us think about what a true friendship or loving closeness should actually be about. The best things are when such relationships make us strong, when they are like a safe haven that accompanies us on our path of learning and growth. But sometimes, even though we like certain people, they lead us away from our inner path. If we notice that a connection is holding us back rather than strengthening us, it's worth taking a moment to reflect carefully on what we really want. Then it's time to become still and reflect within. Perhaps it's necessary to look at long-term relationships from a new perspective, rethink family relationships, or even let go of connections that burden us rather than support us. This silent journey into ourselves isn't always easy, but it helps us understand ourselves better and lovingly put ourselves first. It's important to recognize that the people around us have a profound influence on our inner growth. Good relationships are like a breath of fresh air that gives us the courage to move forward. It helps when someone challenges us in a friendly way, shows us new paths, and always respects our values. But if being together tends to make us sad or tired, we can remember Seneca's wise words. We should seek true friendships that will survive difficult times, that accompany us in our learning, and that help us maintain a good heart. This path is full of new experiences, decisions, and sometimes even important farewells. When we are surrounded by people who are truly good for us, we feel alive and grow like a plant in the light. These people remind us that we are special. They celebrate our successes with us and stay by our side when things get tough. This is how we learn. Real relationships thrive on respect and genuine understanding. And as we grow, sometimes that also means making room for new people, those who strengthen us and brighten our lives. When strong emotions like anger or envy take over, relationships can sometimes become difficult. To better understand this, we can think of a wise quote from Marcus Aurelius. You can control your thoughts, not what happens outside. When you recognize that, you become strong. This means that while we can't always control what happens around us, we can certainly control how we deal with it internally. Feelings like anger or jealousy are human. Everyone feels them at some point, but when they start to dominate our thinking, we often lose our perspective. Then we say or do things we may later regret. The real challenge lies in noticing these feelings and not simply letting them do what they want. We can choose how we react. This freedom is our inner strength. What Marcus Aurelius shows us is profound and important. Even if we can't change some things, we always have the option to choose how we deal with them. This means observing our feelings, taking them seriously, and still remaining calm. Especially in difficult relationships, this helps us stay healthy, both internally and externally. If we notice that someone repeatedly burdens us so much that we can hardly find peace, it's worth taking an honest look. Is this connection helping me grow, or is it draining my energy? Sometimes it's necessary to be brave. We can allow ourselves to take care of ourselves. This includes being patient with ourselves and others, and setting boundaries when necessary. And sometimes we even have to let go of what holds us back. This way we learn to value relationships that lift us up and say goodbye to those that continually drag us down. This journey isn't easy, but it brings us closer to ourselves. We discover how much we have within us and open the way to connections that are honest and healing. In this way, we continue to grow and learn to trust ourselves amidst all encounters. Dealing with the problem of manipulation and control. Considering how some people try to influence or even control others in relationships helps us better understand what true freedom means. The philosopher Epicurus once said, "Only he who can lead himself is truly free." By this he meant that true freedom can only arise when we learn to take care of ourselves and make our decisions based on our own convictions. When someone tries to influence us, whether intentionally or out of insecurity, we sometimes notice it because we no longer feel completely comfortable. We may doubt our own feelings or be unsure of what we ourselves actually think. In such moments, Epicurus's thought reminds us that the first step toward freedom begins within. We are allowed to decide what we want to believe and feel, and when we need to set boundaries. This also means learning to recognize certain behaviors that are harmful to us. For example, if someone often nags at us, ignores our opinions, or criticizes our friendships, that can be a sign that something is wrong. We can then express what's important to us and set clear boundaries, even if not everyone likes it. If we often feel exhausted, confused, or sad when we spend time with someone, it's good to be honest with ourselves. Is this connection good for me, or is it holding me back from growth? When we seriously consider these questions, we realize that we have a choice about the people we share our lives with. Relationships should help us become stronger and braver, not smaller or less secure. When we get to know ourselves better and listen to our inner voice, we succeed in freeing ourselves from harmful patterns. We can then build connections that are good for us, ones in which we feel trust, experience genuine closeness, and meet each other as equals. This kind of togetherness makes our lives richer and freer. It's never okay for someone to constantly tell others what to do, think, or decide. Such behavior robs you of the opportunity to be yourself. Ideas like those of the ancient Stoics, who emphasize the importance of self-determination and inner strength, teach us how valuable freedom is. It's important to recognize when someone is trying to control you or keep you down, no matter how loving or kind it's packaged. This control can manifest itself in many ways, perhaps through constant criticism, the feeling of never being good enough, turning away from friends, or making important decisions without consulting them. People who are treated this way often feel dependent and lose confidence in themselves. The first step to breaking free from this is understanding that you are not free as long as you allow yourself to be controlled by someone else. Epicurus reminded us, true freedom begins with respecting and standing up for oneself. This may mean having the courage to end unhealthy relationships, even if it hurts, but it is precisely this courage that leads us back to ourselves. Breaking away from a bond that holds you back isn't easy, but it's a powerful decision that demonstrates that you're taking responsibility for your own life. Along the way, we recognize our worth and that we deserve to have relationships that support us and allow us to be free. Sometimes relationships aren't just difficult, they're actually damaging. If someone constantly criticizes us, belittles us, or doesn't take our feelings seriously, it can make us sick in the long run, not just in our hearts, but also in our bodies. In such relationships, it's difficult to develop, learn new things, or simply stay true to ourselves. If there are repeated arguments, a lack of consideration, or a lack of understanding, this could be a sign that the relationship is no longer healthy. It becomes especially serious if it even leads to emotional pressure or someone tries to gain power over us. Then it's important to take a close look and ask yourself, do I still feel safe and free here? To find inner peace and feel joy again, we need people who treat us with respect and kindness. Relationships should help us pursue our dreams, open our hearts, and believe in ourselves. If that's no longer possible, something has to change, even if it's difficult. Breaking away from a toxic relationship isn't a sign of weakness, but of self-respect. Of course, it's associated with fear and insecurity. But letting go creates space for new, better encounters. It's an important step toward a life that nourishes us and in which we can grow. When we leave, we simultaneously learn, who am I without this relationship? What do I really want from life? And what do I need to be happy? Such an experience helps us learn more about ourselves and be more mindful of our decisions in the future. Because ultimately, the people we have around us should help us feel free, courageous, and alive. Fifth, mutual respect. When people treat each other with kindness and consideration, it's a sign of genuine togetherness. This is especially important because some ancient schools of thought, such as the Stoics, place great value on decency and inner strength. When this friendly approach is lacking, a relationship often feels unbalanced. Conversations can then become difficult, people lose confidence, and the atmosphere becomes tense. Kindness, listening, understanding other perspectives, and mindful interaction form the foundation for relationships to feel good. Without this mindful attitude, it becomes difficult to talk openly with one another. Arguments can escalate more quickly, and often the feeling arises that one is drifting apart. When two people don't treat each other with respect, this sometimes manifests itself in sharp words, in ignoring the other's needs, or in hurtful behavior. This not only hurts the relationship, but also the people within it. They may doubt themselves and feel hurt inside. The Stoic mindset reminds us how important it is to treat others with a calm heart and consideration. One could say, we should treat others the way we would like to be treated ourselves. If this respectful approach is lacking in a relationship, it can become unbalanced. In such a case, it is helpful to take an honest look, reflect, and consider what needs to change to make things work again. Perhaps a clarifying conversation, clear agreements, or even some distance are needed, especially if the disrespectful treatment occurs repeatedly and nothing improves. If you feel like you're not being treated with respect in a relationship and you're trying to change that or protect yourself, this is an important step for your inner balance. It shows that you value yourself. Relationships based on mutual respect help you grow and feel good. They fit well with the Stoic idea that it's important to be honest and steadfast, including with yourself. The Stoic way of life emphasizes how helpful it is to accept things as they truly are, even if that's sometimes difficult, especially in interpersonal relationships. Sometimes we find ourselves in relationships that prevent us from seeing clearly. Perhaps we want to believe everything is fine, even though it isn't, or we pretend certain problems don't exist. But when we do that, we often distance ourselves from what is real, from ourselves and from others. For example, if we repeatedly find excuses for inappropriate behavior or imagine someone as special, even though this idea doesn't match reality, we may end up making decisions that aren't good for us. This can easily lead to disappointment or repeated misunderstandings. Relationships based on false expectations or unfulfilled promises can be stressful in the long run. They often bring with them feelings like anger or sadness, because we're secretly seeking something that isn't there. While it's not always easy to face the truth, especially when it means letting go of cherished dreams, it's precisely within this that the opportunity to explore new paths lies. If we dare to look honestly, we can notice what's not serving us well and shape our relationships more consciously. This creates space for open conversations and for connections based on trust and truthfulness. This kind of honesty helps us create relationships based on what is real, not on illusion or wishful thinking. This allows us to recharge and cultivate relationships that genuinely support us. It takes courage to let go of false expectations, but it's worth it because it creates something more genuine and valuable. The Stoics encourage us to take life as it is and make the most of it. This also means learning to recognize whether a relationship is good for us or whether it's just an idea holding us back. Another important idea of Stoic teaching is that everyone should live according to what is truly important to them. These values are like an inner compass. They show us what matters to us, what we believe in, and help us make important decisions. But sometimes we find ourselves in relationships where we push aside or even forget what is important to us. Then we find ourselves feeling insecure or in a turmoil because we can no longer be fully ourselves. We may be asked to do something that doesn't feel right, or we may become accustomed to things we don't actually approve of. We may even lose a part of who we are. Such situations can, in the long run, make us sad or feel out of alignment with ourselves. That's why it's so important to continually sense what matters to us. If a relationship prevents us from living by it, we should take a closer look. Because only when we respect our own values can we approach others honestly and with an open heart. Relationships in which we are allowed to be who we truly are help us grow and become internally strong, in keeping with the Stoic ideas that teach us to stay true to ourselves. Sometimes small concessions in a friendship or relationship don't seem so bad. But if they're repeated over and over again, they can lead to a loss of self-worth and a diminished sense of self-confidence. Stoic thought shows us how important it is to stay true to our inner compass. This means having the courage to make difficult decisions, avoiding things that harm us, and having people around us who respect our beliefs. It's often not easy to honestly examine a relationship and see if it fits with what we believe deep down to be right. Sometimes feelings like attachment, the fear of being alone or worry about change hold us back. But when we preserve what is important to us, we protect our souls and show ourselves that we are worthy of respect. Therefore, it's worth paying attention to how our relationships reflect what we believe and feel. If you notice that these fundamentals are repeatedly ignored, you should honestly ask yourself whether this relationship is really good for you. Staying true to your beliefs is not just something that appears in Stoic teachings, but also an important building block for a genuine and good life. In any relationship between people, it's important that both partners give and take. It's like an invisible bond that holds everything together. If one partner constantly gives everything and the other almost exclusively takes, an imbalance arises that can be very damaging in the long run. Relationships that work well are those in which both partners make an effort, support each other, and are there for each other. It's not about weighing every little thing or counting precisely, but about both sides feeling seen and valued. If one person always takes care of everything, helps, listens, or takes on tasks while the other just sits back, the feeling of unfairness quickly arises. Such a one-sided relationship can be exhausting and frustrating. You feel drained and no longer truly valued. In everyday life, it might seem like only one person takes responsibility, be it around the house, in conversations, or in decisions. This can be a very heavy burden. If you notice that something is out of balance in a relationship, it's important to talk about it openly. Perhaps a conversation can help you come to new agreements or consider how you can be there for each other better. If nothing changes, sometimes you have to consider whether this relationship is really good for you. Because if you're constantly giving and getting nothing in return, it can erode your self-confidence and make you feel unimportant. A healthy relationship thrives on both partners supporting each other. When this balance exists, both partners can grow, develop, and accept each other in their differences. Therefore, it's important to seek out and nurture such relationships, not only for your own well-being, but also for the people you care about. Relationships in which both partners respect each other make life richer and more beautiful. Sometimes, something happens in relationships that goes far beyond an imbalance, namely when someone is intentionally hurt. This is called abuse, and it's never okay. Whether someone is physically hurting, verbally abusive, constantly controlling, or using money as leverage, all of these forms are harmful. Those who experience this often feel small, scared, and alone, as if a dark cloud hangs over them day after day. Such relationships often follow a pattern of fear, power, and loneliness. The person who hurts often tries to control the other person to deprive them of their sense of worth. But Stoic teachings remind us that every person has dignity, simply because of who they are. When we find ourselves in a relationship where we are constantly being dragged down, it's like a room without light, where we can barely feel ourselves. This contradicts everything that defines a good life. The first step to getting out of it is to admit that what's happening isn't right. It's never the fault of the person being hurt. The responsibility lies solely with the one doing the harm. It's important to seek help from trusted people or professionals. The path out takes a lot of courage and support, but it's necessary to breathe freely again and reclaim your life. It's like taking off a heavy backpack you've been carrying for far too long. As you begin to break away from this, it's important to remember that you are strong and have great inner worth. Those who recognize the signs of abuse can learn to protect themselves. Everyone deserves a life characterized by appreciation, kindness, and security. The Stoics' ideas about self-respect and inner strength can guide us on this path and help us believe in ourselves. Those who break away from this can regain hope and take a new path, a path full of light without fear. But there's something that often makes this path difficult: fear. It creeps in quietly, like a shadow that darkens everything. Fear holds us back, making us believe we have no choice. It can spread for years without us realizing how paralyzing it is. It feels like being stuck in a life that feels wrong. But there are ways to confront this fear, methods that help us understand it and gradually let it go. The philosophy of the Stoics, together with the knowledge of modern psychology, can help untie this inner knot, just as it helped me. 10th, when communication fails again and again. Sometimes, we don't even realize how important it is to communicate well with each other. If one person in a relationship doesn't listen properly, or if there are constant arguments, it can disrupt peaceful coexistence. The Stoics' ideas remind us how quickly misunderstandings can arise when we don't speak openly and honestly. For example, if only one person always dominates the conversation and the other is barely allowed to say anything, it doesn't feel fair. Even if discussions are often tense and you never really reach agreement, it becomes exhausting over time. Stoics value calm and balance. They believe that we should strive to understand each other, speak kindly, avoid arguments whenever possible, and treat each other respectfully in conversations. For effective communication, it helps to listen carefully, express yourself clearly, and be open to what the other person thinks and feels. It's about being able to talk about problems, express your wishes, and work together to find solutions that work for both parties. But if you notice that conversations are repeatedly difficult and nothing improves despite all your efforts, it might be time to take a closer look. Sometimes you need outside help, for example, from someone who is well-versed in such topics. Good conversations are like the foundation of a house. They make a relationship strong and help it last. For Stoics, it's very important that relationships are based on understanding and balance. This is good for everyone and allows relationships to grow. But there are also situations in which you no longer feel safe or secure in a relationship. If you often feel restless inside, this can be a sign that something is wrong. Stoic teachings say that inner peace is important. If a relationship is constantly causing us stress or anxiety, we should take a closer look and consider whether it's really still good for us. The Stoics' ideas invite us to pay attention to our inner balance. So our relationship that constantly burdens us can throw our emotions off track, make us sad, or even prevent us from feeling joy. Therefore, it's wise to ask ourselves, how am I really doing? Am I constantly tense or unhappy? Have my attempts to change something achieved anything? If not, perhaps a new path would be better for me. Of course, saying goodbye isn't easy, especially if the other person means a lot to you. But the Stoics show us that sometimes it's important to make decisions that lead us back to greater clarity and calm. Such a step can be a beginning, a path back to what's good for us. When we realize that a relationship is disturbing our inner peace, we need courage. Sometimes that means ending something, not out of coldness, but out of self-care. A great thinker once said that the most important victory is the victory over oneself. This shows that a breakup is not necessarily a loss. It can be a sign of strength, a moment in which we remain true to ourselves. And even though this path can be sad, it often brings new insights and reminds us of what is truly important to us in life. Such a decision not only helps our own well-being, but also creates space for a more fulfilling, happier life. Perhaps you've already gone along with something you didn't really want to do, and then wondered if it was really the right thing to do. Or you felt completely confused after a conversation. Sometimes things like this happen without us noticing right away. We meet many people. Everyone thinks differently and wants different things. Most of the time, this isn't a problem. But what if someone isn't honest or influences us in a strange way? Then we enter a hidden world where not everything is as it seems. It's important to learn more about such things, about the ways people quietly try to influence others. Because only those who know these tricks can protect themselves from them. Why is this so important today? Because many influences come not only from friends or acquaintances, but also from the media and networks that constantly accompany us. If you learn to recognize such influences, you can take better care of yourself and decide for yourself what's good for you. I can show you what to look out for so you don't get confused. For example, by things like gaslighting or emotional games. One example of this is emotional influence. It often works invisibly, like a game in which your emotions are being manipulated without you immediately noticing. Imagine walking through a forest where each tree represents an emotion: fear, joy, guilt, or hope. If someone shakes these trees to throw you off balance, you might not notice until later. Emotional influence sometimes looks like affection or caring, but in reality, it can be something entirely different. It often starts with small things, words or gestures that seem harmless but over time undermine your confidence in yourself. A common trick is to make you feel guilty. Imagine someone asking you to do something you don't want. If you hesitate, the person says, "I thought we were friends." Suddenly you start to doubt yourself and feel bad, even though you were just trying to take care of yourself. Seeing through such things is like a protective shield for your heart and mind. When you learn to recognize these patterns, you can better decide who to trust and which paths you truly want to take. Sometimes people try to scare others into doing something. They don't say directly that something bad might happen, but they hint at it, like a dark shadow slowly approaching. It's as if you're standing in a dark room and the only light comes from the person who wants you to follow them. You then feel that you have to rely on that person to keep you from being completely in the dark. How can you protect yourself from such tricks? First, it helps to listen to yourself. What makes your heart skip a beat? What makes you tremble or feel joy? Imagine your feelings are like small plants in a garden you tend. The better you know your feelings, the faster you'll notice when someone is trying to mess them up. Then it's important to have your own rules, boundaries that say this far and no further. That doesn't mean you have to shut yourself off from everyone. It's more like having a gate that you can open and close yourself. You decide who can come in, and if you say no once, that's okay. You're allowed to take care of yourself. Another step is to pay attention to the quality of your friendships and relationships. A good relationship feels like a dance where both partners pay attention to each other. But if you're always just following the other person's steps and getting left behind, it might be time to ask yourself if this is really good for you. Also, don't forget how powerful honest words can be. It can take courage to tell someone how you feel, especially if they're trying to influence you. But even simple phrases like, "I feel uncomfortable," or "this scares me," can help protect you. Some people are very adept at twisting emotions, but you can learn to defend yourself against them. With clarity, openness, your own boundaries, and the courage to talk about your feelings. Remember, in your life, you are the one who determines the direction, like a captain on his ship. Sometimes arguments sound logical even though they aren't. It's like walking through a hot desert and seeing a watering hole in the distance. But when you get closer, you realize it was just a reflection. Such errors in reasoning can mislead us if we don't recognize them. An example is when someone attacks you instead of talking to you about the issue. For example, you have no idea because you've never experienced it yourself. The conversation is no longer even about what you were talking about. Imagine you want to talk about something important, and suddenly someone throws sand in your eyes. That's what it feels like to be treated unfairly, and not address the real problem. Another mistake is to generalize about all people or things based on one small experience. For example, when someone says, "Everyone in the group is mean," just because one person was unfriendly once. This quickly leads to prejudices. It's like tasting a single apple and saying that all apples are sour. Then there's the idea that one small step will immediately have many dire consequences. If someone tells you, "If you do this now, everything will end terribly," even though there's no real evidence to support it, that's a fallacy. It's like believing that a gentle gust of wind will trigger a whole storm. To protect yourself, it's good to be aware of these types of mistakes. When having a conversation, consider, is the topic truly relevant? Is something simply being asserted, or is there clear evidence? Ask yourself whether what's being said makes sense, like a wise explorer reading a map to navigate safely through difficult terrain. Learning to think critically means not believing everything immediately, but asking questions. If you remain curious and search for answers yourself, you can see things more clearly and are less likely to be confused. It's like a flashlight in the dark. It helps you find the right path. And last but not least, when you speak about a topic yourself, try to remain honest and factual. This makes conversations clearer and helps everyone better understand the truth. Remember, sometimes something looks shiny, but in reality it's empty. If you look closely, you'll find the real value, and that's a wonderful skill. Form 3. How to recognize gaslighting. Sometimes people try to influence you so that you begin to doubt your own thoughts. They present things as if you're wrong, even when you're absolutely certain. This kind of confusing someone is called gaslighting. You can imagine it like this. Someone gradually changes small things in your home, but keeps saying that nothing has changed. At some point, you start to question yourself, even though you know what you saw or felt. This game with reality can make you sad, confused, and very lonely. Gaslighting manifests itself in many ways. One of them is someone denying what happened. Imagine you're excitedly telling someone you saw a shooting star, and they say, "You imagined it." Even though you're certain you saw it, this reaction throws you. It's as if the ground shifts beneath you, even though you were just standing firmly. Another method is to turn things around so that you doubt your memories. Perhaps you think back to a conversation in which you clearly agreed on something, and suddenly the other person claims that everything was completely different or never happened. It's as if you're in a room full of mirrors where everything is distorted and you no longer know what's real. Often people try to downplay your feelings. For example, if you're sad because something hurt you and someone says, "You're exaggerating," it feels like your feelings don't matter. This can weigh heavily on you and prevent you from sharing. That's why it's important to trust your inner voice. If something seems strange to you, it's worth taking a closer look. It can be helpful to write down what happened, how you felt about it, and what was said, either in a notebook or on your phone. This way you can later read what really happened. It can also be very helpful to talk to someone you trust who can look at the situation from the outside. This person can help you reorganize your thoughts and confirm your perspective. Self-care is also an important form of protection. Constantly reminding yourself that your thoughts, feelings, and experiences matter gives you strength. Things like relaxation exercises or conversations with understanding adults can help you reconnect with yourself. Even if someone tries to distort your view of the world, you can learn to protect yourself. Because your truth matters, and you deserve to be taken seriously. It can also happen that people want to influence you by pressuring you to behave like everyone else. Sometimes you don't even notice it right away. This peer pressure can be loud and clear, but also quiet and subtle. You might then feel like a small boat on a rough sea, being pushed by the waves in a direction you don't want to go. The power of belonging can be very strong, and suddenly you start doing or saying things that aren't really your style, just to avoid being different. Many people prefer to go with the crowd, even if it feels wrong inside. But if you know who you are and what's important to you, it's like an anchor that keeps you safe, even when the wind blows hard. It's helpful to develop a sense of these situations. Sometimes people tell you to do something directly. Sometimes you just feel the pressure because everyone around you is behaving similarly. You might then feel compelled to fit in so you don't stand out. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can learn to stand up for yourself and say no. That doesn't mean you have to be unkind. Think of yourself like a tree. Even in storms, you'll remain firmly rooted if you know what's important to you. A lot can change around you, but you stay true to yourself. It's also very helpful to find people who like you for who you really are. Friendships where you can show yourself without having to pretend are like a safe haven. There, you don't have to play a role or pretend. You can just be yourself. Ultimately, it's important to make decisions that align with you and your heart, not because others expect it, even if that means taking a different path than most people do. Because if you follow your own compass, you'll feel more comfortable and proud of having stayed true to your path. It's okay to be different, because that's what makes you unique. Form 5. Recognizing too much flattery. Some people cleverly use a friendly smile or lots of kind words to gain your trust, but they don't always mean it. They might be trying to influence you in order to make something of it for themselves later. Imagine someone gives you a beautifully wrapped present, but inside there is something you don't need or want. If someone praises you excessively or constantly emphasizes how great you are, it can sometimes be a sign that there is more to it than meets the eye. Such exaggerated words can appeal to our need to be liked and accepted, like a mirror that only shows the shiny side but obscures the bigger picture. That's why it's good to be alert when praise feels too much or somehow exaggerated. If you know yourself well, what you're capable of and where you still have room to grow, then you have something like an inner guide that helps you distinguish genuine appreciation from clever flattery. This knowledge strengthens you and ensures that you're less easily thrown off balance. It can also be very useful to pay attention to the moment someone gives you compliments. If someone often praises you when they want something from you, or when their words don't fit what's happened, it could be a sign that they're trying to achieve something. Imagine someone always praising you, especially when they need help. This can make you wonder whether they truly appreciate you or are just trying to achieve something. In such situations, it helps to maintain a little inner distance. You can thank them, but you don't have to let everything they say influence you. It's a bit like carrying an umbrella on a warm day, perhaps unnecessary at first glance, but very helpful when clouds suddenly roll in. Talking to people you trust can also help. They sometimes see things you don't even notice and help you better determine whether a compliment is genuine or just a trick. It's an important skill to recognize whether someone is genuinely trying to make you feel good or trying to get you to do something with sweet words. Genuine appreciation is often appropriate accurate and honest, while excessive flattery sometimes remains vague and doesn't feel right. Just as an overly sugary drink loses its appeal after a while, too much praise can also be used to influence you. If you stay attentive and trust yourself, you can navigate this world of words and effects without losing yourself. To stay strong in your relationships, it's important to trust yourself, be honest with yourself, and take good care of your feelings. Because a healthy relationship requires honesty and mutual respect, not the feeling that someone is trying to steer you with sweet words. Sometimes it can also happen that someone tries to keep you away from people you care about. This can happen very gradually and is one of the most powerful ways to gain power over someone. If someone tries to convince you that you're better off without your friends or family, that's a warning sign. It's like you're on a remote island, and the only person you can still talk to is the very person who put you there. That's why it's important to pay close attention when your relationships change. Perhaps the other person starts to cast doubt on your friends or says things that sow distrust. It's as if they're looking at small problems with a magnifying glass and making them seem enormous. Sometimes they even tell you directly that you should only spend your time with them while everyone else is put down. Little by little, an invisible wall then forms, keeping you away from others. To protect yourself from this, it's helpful to stay in regular contact with people you trust, even if they don't approve. These connections are like strong ropes that hold you tight and remind you who you are. It's also important to set boundaries. If someone wants to dictate who you can talk to or how you spend your time, you can clearly say, "I make that decision myself." Imagine you build a house with fixed doors and you decide who you let in and who you don't. Trust your gut feeling too. If you sense that something is wrong, take it seriously. Our inner voice often warns us before we even realize it with our minds. And if you're unsure, seek help. Whether it's talking to a compassionate adult, a counselor, or a friend, often things become clearer when you can share your thoughts. Recognizing when someone is trying to isolate you is a big step towards staying free and strong. By staying open, listening to yourself, and nurturing your relationships, you can prevent someone from secretly gaining control over you. This way you ensure that those around you remain honest, kind, and supportive, just as you deserve. Form 7. Look out for ultimatums. Sometimes people try to force a quick decision out of you by applying pressure or using a now or never approach. Such situations can feel as if you're suddenly standing on a steep slope with no clear path forward. Someone wants you to make a quick decision, leaving you little time to think things through calmly and doing exactly what suits them. This kind of behavior is like an invisible rope, trying to guide you without you immediately noticing. If you hear phrases like, "If you were really my friend, you'd do that for me," or "If you don't do that, you won't be able to play with me anymore," be careful. These words may seem harmless at first, but they're actually forcing you into a corner. The person is usually not thinking about what's good for you, but rather what they want to achieve for themselves, as if they've put on a friendly face but aren't sincere. If someone asks you to make a decision like this, take a moment. You can catch your breath and don't have to answer right away. It's like a game where you pause for a moment before moving on. Then imagine what could happen if you go one way or the other. Often such statements make one option seem particularly dire, so you'll give in more quickly. But if you look closely, you'll often see a third, better option that suits you better. It's like hiking. You often don't see the whole route until you stop and calmly look at the map. You can also share your thoughts and feelings. Feel free to say what you don't like or where your boundaries are. Imagine yourself as a strong tree, firmly rooted, even in storms. If someone keeps imposing these conditions on you, you may need to rethink your relationship. Constantly trying to pressure you into doing something is neither loving nor fair. It's important that you are allowed to make decisions based on your own feelings, not on threats from others. Stay calm, give yourself time to think, and clearly state what's okay with you and what's not. These are important steps to protect yourself if someone tries to control you with threats. Some people try to make you feel bad in order to influence you. It's like a faint fog that slowly settles over your thoughts and makes you doubt whether you're doing everything right. Over time, it can feel like you're constantly apologizing for things that weren't wrong at all, and like you're losing yourself in it. Pay attention to how someone reacts when you make your own decision or express your opinion. If you often hear, "I feel bad because of you," or "You did this, so it's all my fault," it could be that the person is trying to make you feel insecure. It's as if they're holding up a mirror that only shows you the places where you've supposedly failed, and in doing so, they forget how many good things you have. In moments like these, it's important to believe in your inner truth. Your feelings matter, and your perspective on things is just as valuable as anyone else's. Imagine you have an invisible shell around you that protects you from unfair accusations. By reflecting on what really happened, like you might look at a map before setting out, you'll be better able to determine whether you really did something wrong or whether someone is just blaming you to steer you in the right direction. It also helps to be open about what bothers you. If someone repeatedly blames you for things that aren't your fault, you can say kindly but firmly, "I understand you're angry, but I'm not responsible for your decision." This is like a clear sign that shows others, "This is my boundary." It's equally important to have people around you who are honest, kind, and supportive. In a supportive environment, you can grow, like a plant that thrives in good soil. Knowing when someone is trying to guilt-trip you is an important part of building your mental strength. Recognizing that someone is trying to influence you in this way allows you to protect yourself internally and ensure that your thoughts and actions remain your own. This way, you'll be better able to navigate the confusion of emotions, stay true to yourself, and move forward with clarity and confidence. Form 9. Beware of too much information. Sometimes you're bombarded with so much information that it's almost impossible to keep track. It feels like you're standing in the middle of a loud thunderstorm with the wind constantly blowing new things in your face. Too many details at once can confuse you and prevent you from making a good decision. Some people do this intentionally. They throw so much at you at once that you lose track and end up doing what they want you to. It's a bit like trying to put together a giant puzzle without a picture to guide you. To protect yourself from this, it's important to notice when it simply becomes too much. If your head feels full and heavy, pause. It's like pressing stop on a very fast movie to see what's actually happening. Afterward, you can try to break down the large amount of information into smaller chunks. It's similar to breaking down a complicated machine into individual parts to better understand it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you don't understand something, it's perfectly fine to say, "That's too much for me. Could you please say that again in simpler terms?" This will help you gain clarity, almost like turning on the light in a dark room. It can also help to talk to someone who's looking at the situation from the outside, someone who's not directly involved. This person can give you a new perspective, like a bird's-eye view of a confusing landscape. Don't forget to listen to your gut. If everything feels too complicated or somehow wrong, that might be a warning sign. It's as if a little inner alarm clock is going off inside you, telling you, "Pay attention, something's wrong here." If you feel overwhelmed by information, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's simply a sign to take a step back, bring order to the chaos, get help, and then consciously move forward. You're allowed to make decisions that suit you, not because someone else is forcing you to. Your mind is like an inner compass. It helps you find your way even in the greatest confusion. If you're talking to someone and they suddenly jump from one topic to the next, it could be a sign they're trying to avoid you. It's as if you were about to ask an important question, and suddenly the conversation has landed somewhere completely different. You were on a straight path, and now you find yourself in a dense forest where nothing fits together. Some people do this intentionally to make you forget what the original discussion was about. They beat around the bush like a juggler, playing with words instead of balls so you lose the thread. It's important to recognize such moments. If you notice the conversation suddenly moving in a different direction and without any connection, stay alert. It's like waking up to find yourself in a completely different place than you were the night before. You can then say, gently but firmly, "That's interesting, but I'd like to go back to what we started with." This brings the conversation back on track, like a captain steering his ship back on course. Stay calm and don't get carried away by distracting topics. If someone keeps rambling, you can also ask, "Why are we getting off topic?" Sometimes just asking this question can reveal the truth. It shows that you're not letting the conversation slip away, and that clarity is important to you. And if you notice that someone is never staying on topic, you can also say, "This doesn't feel right for me right now. I'm quitting." Just like you would leave a game where no one follows the rules. To talk honestly with each other, it's important to recognize such distractions. Learning how to handle them will help you maintain control of the conversation and demonstrate that you want an open, respectful discussion. It's not about exposing someone, but about staying true to yourself and not letting yourself get sidetracked. Staying on topic is just as important as knowing how to handle difficult conversations. On our journey to better understand how people try to influence us, we've encountered many different ways, from guilt-tripping to emotional overload to conversations that suddenly take a completely different turn. Each example shows us how important it is to be alert and mindful so we can make free choices and remain ourselves. Because when we recognize what's happening, we can respond consciously, just as you need a good map to navigate unfamiliar territory. We encounter such tricks in many places, in friendships, at school, in conversations with adults, or even while out and about in the world. But if we know what to look out for, we can protect ourselves. The Stoic idea reminds us that inner strength doesn't just happen. It grows with practice, honesty, and the courage to learn. As the philosopher Seneca said, "The mind is strong when we make it strong." Every time you recognize manipulation, you become a little clearer, more confident, and freer, on your own path to a life that truly suits you. 1. Listen actively and look for other points of view. The first step to unlocking the unique power of our minds is the art of genuine listening. But truly listening means more than just hearing words. It means empathizing with what others experience, think, and feel. When we engage with someone with an open heart, new paths open up to better understand things. This conscious listening is an important part of becoming wiser and deepening our knowledge. Epictetus reminded us, "We have 2 ears and only 1 mouth, so we listen more than we speak." This thought demonstrates the importance of being silent and listening with full attention. This is one of the fundamental principles of Stoic teaching. Imagine that a conversation makes you think about something in a completely new way. That's the power of attentive listening. It helps us become more mindful and compassionate. When we talk to people who have different experiences or life paths than us, we can learn a lot from them. This isn't just about gathering information, but also about growing and expanding our perspective on the world. It's as if we're setting out on a voyage of discovery on a ship across the vast ocean, filled with thoughts and stories shared by others. Every step of learning brings us closer to true wisdom. The Stoics believed that in every situation, in every conversation, there can be something that will help us move forward. They knew that if we are open and listen attentively, even a brief exchange can be full of new ideas. If we ask questions, remain curious, and listen respectfully to different opinions, then every conversation becomes a treasure trove of insights. In this way, we develop new ideas, find wise solutions, and become more flexible in our approach to life. This attitude not only makes us wiser, but also more understanding and kinder. When we begin to listen consciously and calmly, listening becomes a habit that enriches our lives. It's not just a good idea, but a wonderful way to live a life full of thoughts, feelings, and exciting discoveries. When we are willing to truly listen to others, we take an important step toward greater knowledge, inner clarity, and deeper connection with the people around us. It's also about recognizing that learning never really stops. Stoic teachings show us that becoming smarter isn't just about knowing facts or passing exams. It's about remaining curious and constantly wanting to learn. It's about never stopping asking questions and being open to new things, no matter how old we are or what we already know. For example, consider someone who is highly successful in their career, but still regularly learns new things, whether through courses or conversations. This person demonstrates that learning isn't just about gaining more knowledge, but also about growing as a person. Every time we learn something new, we strengthen our abilities and continue to grow internally. How can we incorporate this into our everyday lives? Imagine that each new day is like a fresh sheet of paper on which you can write down your experiences and knowledge. Everything you do, whether you're having a conversation, cooking a meal, or going for a walk, offers you an opportunity to discover something. Ask yourself often, what can I learn today? You can also incorporate special learning moments into your daily routine. Perhaps you take a break from screens once a week to open your eyes to the world around you. Or you can take up a new hobby that you enjoy and challenges your mind, like a game that keeps you curious, such as gardening, painting, or programming. These activities not only allow you to learn something new, but also bring joy and build your self-confidence. A learning journal is a useful tool. At the end of the day, you can briefly jot down what you've learned, even if it's just something small, and consider how it might help you later. This helps you remember what you've learned better, and it's fun to look back on everything you've already discovered. The Stoics believed that when you reflect on what you've experienced, many things become clearer. Seneca said, "No one becomes wise by chance. Wisdom comes from remaining curious and approaching life attentively." Throughout the day, remind yourself of the joy of discovering new things. Stay curious, ask questions, and see learning as an adventure. In Stoicism, intelligence isn't something fixed. It grows with you, changes, and becomes increasingly stronger through your attentiveness and openness. Here's a little challenge for you this week. Think of a topic you've been fascinated by for a long time, but never really explored. Take some time to immerse yourself in it and be excited about what you learn. 3. Take on tasks and find out what went wrong. Sometimes it seems as if difficulties are simply something standing in our way, but if we look closely, we can also see them as opportunities to learn new things and become stronger. Stoicism, an ancient way of thinking, helps us understand that pain or setbacks are not obstacles, but opportunities to grow as people. Especially when things don't work out the way we want, there's often an important message hidden within. If we focus on the good we can take from a situation, instead of only seeing the bad, then every problem becomes a step forward. Every difficulty brings with it the question, what can I learn from this? When we think this way, obstacles become opportunities to learn and better deal with similar situations. A wise man from the past, Marcus Aurelius, once said something like this, "That which stops you shows you the way." This means challenges are not there to stop us, but to show us how we can move forward, just differently. Those who are willing to learn from difficult moments will not only become wiser over time, but also stronger and more adaptable. So the next time you find yourself in an uncomfortable situation, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Mistakes can also be valuable teachers, and even if something hurts, that pain can help you evolve. Setbacks don't mean everything is over. Sometimes they even open doors you didn't even see before. Being smart doesn't mean never failing. It means getting back up after a fall, this time with a new idea in mind and a stronger heart. Think about a difficult situation you recently experienced. How did it help you change? What did you learn from it that might help you in the future? When you reflect on it, you realize how much such experiences can help you move forward. The journey of learning and inner strength never ends. It accompanies you throughout your life, making your mind sharper and your heart braver. A wise man from ancient times once said that the quality of your thoughts determines your happiness. So, if you want to learn to live a more contented life, start by taking a closer look at your thoughts. In our often busy daily lives, we rarely take the time to be truly still and listen within ourselves. Yet it is precisely in these quiet moments that we find valuable answers. Mindfulness means being consciously aware for a moment of what's happening, both inside and around you. Imagine you're having an argument with someone or are stressed. Instead of reacting immediately, you could pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and consider how best to handle the situation. Such a brief pause can help you act differently, in a wiser and kinder way. Questioning yourself, that is, reflecting on yourself, helps you learn something new from what has happened. This isn't about feeling bad about past mistakes, but about acting more consciously in the future. If you find a moment in the evening to reflect on your day, what went well, what didn't, you can recognize patterns in your behavior. You'll get to know yourself better and get an idea of how you can develop further. For example, you could write down 3 things at the end of each day. What did I experience? What did I learn? And what do I plan to do tomorrow? This simple exercise not only helps you become wiser, but also gives your everyday life more meaning. Mindfulness and self-reflection are like a small inner compass. They help you navigate your path with calm and clarity. Maybe you've experienced this. You resolved to exercise more or eat healthier, but in the end you were so tired that all you wanted to do was watch TV, or you stayed up late and had hardly any energy the next day. Everyday life can sometimes be so busy that it's difficult to take good care of yourself. But therein lies something important, because when we take care of our bodies, we also help our minds. A wise Stoic teacher once said, "First consider what you want to be and then act accordingly." This means if you set a goal, such as being healthy and balanced, then take small steps toward that goal. A healthy body supports a clear mind. Conversely, a calm mind helps you make good decisions for your body. It's not enough to just exercise occasionally or eat healthy food once in a while. It's about making these things a regular part of your life. Perhaps you start your day with a few stretches or a short walk. This will rejuvenate your body and recharge your mind. Eating well and getting enough sleep are no small things. They are important building blocks for your mental and spiritual strength. Body and mind belong together. So by taking care of your body, you lay a solid foundation for your thoughts and feelings. This allows you to face challenges more calmly and make wiser decisions. Think about what your life looks like right now. Is there anything small you could change to feel better, physically and mentally? Maybe it's taking a walk, drinking more water, going to bed earlier, or taking a quiet moment in the morning. Even if it's just a small step, it can have a big impact in the long run. Many people are amazed at how small good habits can positively change their entire lives. If you embrace the Stoic idea and harmonize your body and mind, you'll notice how much lighter and freer life can feel. This way, you can not only become wiser, but also tackle your everyday life with more joy and strength. 6. Participate in a thoughtful exercise. Stoicism shows us the importance of making an effort and practicing regularly to become wiser. This is where deliberate practice comes into play. It's not just about repeating something often. It's a thoughtful way of learning, where you consciously work on certain skills, for example, through playing games, solving puzzles, or trying new things. This particular practice challenges us and keeps our minds sharp because it requires our attention and requires us to search for solutions. Imagine trying to solve a challenging puzzle or win a game that requires careful planning. Such activities are not only fun, they also help your brain develop. The Stoics knew how important it is to keep your mind fit. People who regularly engage in difficult mental tasks not only learn new things, they also train their endurance. When you commit to learning a language, mastering an instrument, or solving challenging problems, you need patience, strength, and willpower. Think about what inspires you. Perhaps a daily puzzle, a tactical game, or a sport that requires thinking. The important thing is that you stick with it, even when things get difficult, and are willing to put in the effort. Only through constant effort can you achieve true mastery and deep understanding. Seneca once said something, "It's not because something is difficult that we don't attempt it, it's because we don't try that it remains difficult." This idea fits very well with conscious practice. When you learn this way, you not only strengthen your abilities, but also qualities like courage, attentiveness, and inner strength. Those who continually challenge themselves and try new approaches will notice that their personality also changes. You will become calmer, smarter, and learn to develop further. Remember, through conscious practice, your thinking becomes clearer, your inner strength grows, and you will become increasingly better at tackling difficult situations with confidence and courage. There are times when we say or do something we later regret, perhaps because we were stressed at school or upset at home. When we're upset, it's difficult for us to stay calm and act wisely. Stoicism shows us that we can learn to manage our emotions well, and that doing so helps us make better decisions. It's perfectly fine to have strong emotions. Everyone experiences them. But when we act on them immediately without thinking, we often run into trouble. The Stoics believed that we should take our emotions seriously, but not be controlled by them. Those who manage to pause for a moment before acting can think more clearly and make wiser decisions. Keeping a journal can help. Writing down how you feel can help you organize your thoughts and understand yourself better. If you're feeling angry or sad, try breathing calmly. This can help you calm down. Talking to others about your feelings and listening to their opinions is also a good way to gain a clearer perspective and avoid acting too quickly. Seneca, a wise man from ancient times, once said, "We often fear more than necessary, and we suffer more from our thoughts than from what actually happens." This shows how powerful our emotions can be, and how important it is not to simply let them take over. If you can manage your emotions well, you will see more clearly and make decisions that align with your values and are good for you. When you practice understanding your feelings and dealing with them mindfully, you'll not only make better decisions, you'll also notice that you're becoming stronger. Your actions will then be more aligned with what's important to you. This way, you'll not only develop more calm and wisdom, but also demonstrate that you're evolving and growing internally. 8. Be good and honest in your daily life. It's not just about what we know if we want to become wiser. It's also about how we conduct our daily lives and how we behave in different situations. Stoicism reminds us that it's not just a framework of thought, but also a special way of living and acting. This attitude places great value on things like courage, justice, and moderation. It invites us to align our behavior so that these values become visible. You can imagine it as an inner guide that helps us do the right thing, not only wisely, but also honestly and responsibly. When we try to live by these ideas, we align our inner values with what we do. This makes our decisions more meaningful and more powerful. So how can we incorporate these values into our everyday lives? It often starts small, with thoughtful decisions. Before you do something, take a moment to consider, is this fair? Do I courageously confront the problem, or should I avoid it? Such small pauses help us connect our actions with the Stoic ideas of courage, fairness, and self-control, and this makes our lives clearer and more coherent. In the Stoic sense, being courageous doesn't just mean daring to do something when you're afraid. It also means standing up for what you believe in, even when it's difficult. Acting justly means treating others with respect, being kind, and not just caring about yourself. And when you learn to stay centered and avoid excesses, you demonstrate balance that's called self-control. Marcus Aurelius, a wise man who lived by these ideas, once said, "Don't spend your time thinking about what a good person might be, just be one." These words remind us that acting honestly and courageously is more important than just talking about it. Every day gives us many opportunities to show this. For example, when we help someone, defend someone, or choose to do the right thing even when it's harder. A life of honesty and clarity is a journey of constant growth and learning. The important thing is that our decisions reflect what is truly important to us, and that we want to be not only successful, but also helpful to the world around us. When we incorporate these values into our lives, little by little, we not only strengthen our decisions, but also our inner attitude. In this way, we develop a way of life that is not only sensible, but also loving and exemplary. By striving to align what's important to us with what we do, we can set a good example and demonstrate that living a life based on good values can be fulfilling. Another way to progress on the path to becoming wiser is the art of gratitude. Stoicism shows us that being wise isn't just about thinking cleverly or knowing a lot, but also about consciously appreciating life. This is precisely where gratitude can help us. It brings clarity to our thoughts and allows us to perceive life with open eyes. In Stoic thought, gratitude is much more than just politely saying thank you. It's a way of seeing the world with an eye for what is already good. When we regularly remind ourselves of what brings us joy, our focus shifts from what we lack to what we have already been given. This perspective makes us calmer, more content, and it strengthens our ability to think clearly. A good practice is to take a few moments at the beginning or end of the day to reflect on things you're grateful for. Perhaps it's simple things like a warm meal, a pleasant conversation, or the sound of birds chirping in the morning. Writing these thoughts down will make it easier to focus your attention on the positive. The philosopher Epictetus said that we should focus our energy on what we can influence, and gratitude helps us do this because it brings us back to the here and now. This attitude allows us to go through life with an open heart. It helps us look at problems with more calm and understanding. Gratitude clears our minds and brings light to our thinking. It shows us that wisdom doesn't just come from books or teachers, but also from consciously experiencing our own lives. When we practice being grateful, we not only feel happier, but also clearer and stronger, ready to go through life with courage and kindness. Another Stoic path to wisdom is to consciously give yourself moments of quiet. Stoicism explains the importance of finding peace within yourself, especially in a world that is often hectic and noisy. These quiet times help us reconnect with ourselves and realize what is truly important to us. When we become quiet, our thoughts can become clearer again. The best ideas often arise in silence, and sometimes we find answers to difficult questions. Even though it's not always easy to find quiet moments in everyday life, there are simple ways to do so that can be beneficial. You could take a few minutes in the morning or evening to simply sit quietly and listen to yourself. You might want to breathe consciously, close your eyes, or even journal about your thoughts. A walk in nature can also help you calm down. The rustling of trees or the babbling of a brook often has a calming effect on our minds. Another helpful idea is to step away from your cell phone, computer, or television every now and then. A short break from screens gives our thoughts space to unfold. Such quiet moments not only give us rest, but also new clarity. They help us make more thoughtful decisions and look at life with more serenity. Silence is not an empty void. It is a quiet space in which we can grow and become stronger. Sometimes it can be very beneficial to retreat to a quiet place and write down your thoughts. It's a bit like taking time to dream or reflect. It brings order to your mind and suddenly allows you to see things more clearly. When we are still and record what moves us in a notebook, we follow a path that allows us to learn more about ourselves and strengthen our inner selves. Such quiet moments not only make us smarter, but also help us better understand ourselves and the world. You may notice that the most important thoughts come precisely when everything is quiet. These moments make us wonder and help us find good answers to our questions. All these small exercises, whether reflection, gratitude, or rest, can brighten and deepen our lives. They show us not only how to become wiser, but also how to grow internally. For the Stoics, reason was not only something you perceive with your head, but also something you live with your heart, a life full of compassion, honesty, and inner peace. There's an old saying that reminds us, "Don't set yourself on fire just to keep others warm." What does that mean? That you shouldn't always give and help when it makes you feel bad yourself, especially in a world where it's important for many to be liked and not to disappoint anyone. Some people forget that they also have to take care of themselves. If you're always there for others and never say no, it can lead to feeling empty, tired, or even sad. It's good to be kind, but it's just as important to be kind to yourself. Those who sacrifice too much eventually lose their strength. Stoicism shows us another way of being generous, one in which we don't forget ourselves. We can help others without losing sight of our own well-being. It's about recognizing clearly, what can I give without losing myself? How can I be there for others without neglecting myself? Imagine it like this. There are two gardeners. One lovingly tends his own garden. He plants, waters, and tends it patiently. Soon, beautiful flowers and delicious vegetables grow there. The other gardener is also nice, so nice that he constantly helps the other neighbors, but hardly finds time for his own plants. In the end, his garden looks sad because he has neglected it. The first gardener can help others because his own garden is blooming. He has enough to share. This story teaches us, only when we take good care of ourselves can we be there for others. So ask yourself from time to time, do I have enough strength to help now? Am I also paying attention to my own needs? Because you can't pour water from an empty jug. Those who find peace and clarity within themselves can also pass it on to others. This creates a life that is not only full of compassion, but also fulfilling and healthy, for you and for everyone around you. Kindness has its limits. Acting kindly and being generous can make a positive difference in our lives and in others' lives. But sometimes there's a subtle difficulty lurking within this, an old insight that's still very important today. It feels good to help with an open heart, But it can be sad when you expect the same kindness to come back and it doesn't happen. Life doesn't always work out so that good deeds are immediately noticed or rewarded. Sometimes they even get forgotten. A Stoic attitude shows us how to do good without losing ourselves in the process, how to remain kind without overtaxing ourselves. It's about sharing in a way that helps others without giving up on ourselves. When we consider how to maintain healthy distances in doing so, we realize that our willingness to help can strengthen us rather than exhaust us. We can give without becoming empty inside, love without being hurt, and be there without forgetting ourselves. When you give something, it's good not to rely on it coming back. It's like planting a tree. You water it, care for it, and hope it thrives. But the weather, the seasons, and many other things have their own course. The same applies to giving. You should find joy in doing something good and not expect to receive something in return. A wise thinker, Epictetus, once said that we should focus our attention on what we can influence, not on what is beyond our control. When we heed this, we protect our hearts from sorrow and disappointment. This doesn't mean we lose our compassion, but rather that we find a new form of strength, an inner peace that endures even when others don't thank us. When you're kind, don't see it as an exchange where you want something in return. See it as a reflection of who you truly are. This way you stay grounded in yourself and develop a kind of kindness that stays alive even when no one notices it. The Stoic idea shows us how to give with a clear heart, with an open mind, but also with a loving eye for ourselves. Perhaps you remember a time when you helped someone without asking for anything. Ask yourself, what did this act mean to you? And what can you do to ensure that such gestures empower you rather than drain you? There are also times when many requests are made to us. In the past, even kings needed help with simple things. Today, it's often similar. People want many things from us, even if they could do them themselves. Stoicism helps us recognize when it's time to draw a line. This insight can guide us like a light through the fog when everything becomes too much, and it helps us stay true to ourselves. It's not about saying no because you don't feel like it. It's about helping in a way that doesn't compromise your own self-esteem. A story tells of a loving mother who protected her daughter so closely that she took on many tasks that she could have done herself. When the mother was suddenly no longer there, the daughter realized she had to take her own steps. And she was able to do so, because within her lay all the strength she had never needed. This story shows that too much help sometimes prevents others from becoming strong. Marcus Aurelius, a wise man from the Stoic era, said that we should stand up for ourselves, not expect others to support us. This means we can be there for each other, but we must not prevent anyone from growing. Seneca, another wise man, also said, "If someone is your friend only because they want something from you, they will leave as soon as you stop giving them something." True friendship develops where there is genuine trust, not where it's all about taking. Stoicism reminds us that our worth isn't determined by how much we accomplish, but by who we are inside. When we recognize this, our self-confidence grows, and we can connect with others in a deeper way. We learn to set boundaries in a kind way, not to create distance, but to stay healthy. When we recognize our needs and make room for them, we remain fully present. This allows us to help others without losing ourselves in the process. This path leads to a fulfilling life in which we are strong not only for others, but also for ourselves. Taking care of ourselves is not selfish. It is a loving act that protects us in difficult times and helps us live life with open arms. If we help again and again without setting boundaries, it can eventually lead to a feeling that feels like weakness. It's as if we're trying to fulfill everyone's wishes until we're exhausted. Then we feel empty and unappreciated. But it doesn't have to stay that way. As soon as we start taking ourselves seriously and saying no sometimes, things change. You don't have to be the person who's always asked first. By making space for yourself and showing that your time and energy are valuable, the respect of others also grows. Cicero, a wise man from ancient times, put it this way: "What you think of yourself is far more important than what others say about you." When we take good care of ourselves and recognize our own worth, our inner world remains strong, no matter what comes from outside. Remember, a simple no can go a long way. It shows that you take yourself seriously and are aware of how you want to be treated. Learning to say this little word courageously can transform your friendships, and you'll find that people value you more when you care about yourself. But this change isn't always easy. If you're often there for others, people may only need you when they want help, and when happy moments are shared, you sometimes get left out. Giving too much can make you feel more like a helper than a friend. Then you can recognize which relationships are genuine and which ones just take without giving. It's not easy to recognize which connections are truly precious. But this is precisely what helps us manage our time and energy more carefully. One of the important ideas of the Stoics is setting boundaries. When we learn to say this far and no further, we often feel more comfortable, and others treat us with more respect. It may sound surprising, but people often admire us more when we say no with a clear heart. This shows how important it is to respect yourself and how strongly this respect can influence our relationships. Through this inner attitude, we protect ourselves from exhaustion and create connections that benefit both sides. If you've learned something up to this point that you'd like to reflect on, give yourself a silent compliment. Now we'll look at how we can avoid being taken advantage of and how we can remain kind without forgetting ourselves. A good place to start is understanding the fear of saying no. Ask yourself, why do you find it difficult to say no? Perhaps you learned as a child that being nice meant always saying yes. Perhaps you thought you were only lovable if you never disappointed anyone. Stoicism helps us rethink such old ideas and realize that we can choose how we act. We don't have to do what we once believed. As we grow up, we are given the opportunity to do things differently. We can see that old fears no longer have to dominate our lives. The Stoic perspective helps us understand and guide our emotions. This allows us to calmly handle difficult situations without repeating old patterns. When we learn to refuse requests that violate our own needs, we demonstrate courage and that we can protect our boundaries. It's equally important to combine our newfound self-confidence with sensitivity. Stoic thinking doesn't mean we should only look after ourselves or be completely alone. On the contrary, it invites us to use our strength to be there for others as well, but with a healthy balance. When we understand when and how we can help, a caring spirit emerges that is beneficial for both sides. True wisdom means knowing one's own limits while remaining open to others. Then our kindness doesn't become blind, but remains kind and mindful. This creates a sense of togetherness in which people value one another. Another valuable step is paying attention to your own feelings. Stoics advise pausing every now and then to feel how you're truly feeling. This conscious attention makes us stronger internally. This way, we notice sooner when something is weighing us down. It's about not perceiving giving as a burden, but as something that can be light and beautiful, like a ray of light breaking through clouds. However, if you often feel tired, disappointed, or sad, that's a sign that you should reconsider your perspective. Honestly admitting that something is too much isn't a sign of weakness. It shows that you take yourself seriously. Only then can helpfulness be something lasting and beneficial, and not something that exhausts you. And finally, remember that you are important too. Sometimes it's easier to be there for others than to take care of yourself. But your own well-being is just as important. Stoicism reminds us that self-care isn't selfish, but a part of living a healthy life. When you take care of your thoughts, feelings, and body, you become stronger and better able to help others too. By giving yourself the attention you need, you build a foundation for true strength, clarity, and joy. Try to let this way of thinking fully enter your heart. Accept yourself as you are, with everything you've experienced. Forgive yourself for the things that may not have gone well, and view the beginning of a new year as a fresh page on which you can paint anew. Choose what brings you joy and consciously take time to treat yourself kindly. It's perfectly fine to say no sometimes. If someone wants something from you that isn't good for you, you can help others, but make sure that your own well-being always comes first. Another helpful idea is to be mindful of who you spend your time with. Stoic teachings such as inner calm and composure help you recognize whether certain people are good for you or not. It can be very exhausting to be around people who constantly expect something from you, be it attention, time, or other things. Stoic teaching reminds us that true strength comes from within and that change is only possible if you want it. It would be wrong to think that you can change others through kindness alone. Real change begins within yourself, with the desire to grow, not through what someone else says or does. This doesn't mean we should stop being kind. It means shaping our relationships to be healthy. It's about a beautiful balance. If you give too much, you feel empty. If you give too little, you may feel alone. The Stoic mindset encourages us to be generous and warm, but also thoughtful and wise. If you feel a relationship is damaging you, it's okay to let it go. The important thing is not to forget yourself. Because true togetherness means both parties grow, not that one loses themselves so the other can flourish. Stoicism reminds us to practice moderation in everything. That means we should be kind, but also remember not to exhaust our own strength. Imagine you're on a long journey. You want to share your provisions, but you also need enough for yourself to reach your destination. Being generous doesn't mean giving everything away. It means giving thoughtfully, so that no one misses out, including you. A wise man named Seneca, who wrote extensively on Stoicism, once said that kindness is like a precious treasure, something valuable to be preserved and used wisely. His words remind us to do good, but also to consider when the moment is right. This makes every loving gesture special. When we reflect on everything we've learned on our journey with this philosophy, we realize that it's not just wise sayings, it's meant to be lived. We've discovered many thoughts and ideas that can help us become stronger and grow. But the key is not just to understand them, but to put them into practice day after day. Living stoically doesn't mean you're finished at some point. It's an ongoing journey. Every day you have the opportunity to put the things you've learned into action, whether by acting more consciously, writing down your thoughts, or reminding yourself what you can and can't influence. The true test of your inner strength comes in the difficult moments when you remember what's important to you and act on it even when it's not easy. On your journey, you will experience both joyful and challenging times. Everyone experiences this differently, and that's precisely what makes your journey special. It's not how many obstacles you encounter that matters, it's how you deal with them. By using the ideas of the Stoics, you can transform every difficulty into an opportunity for growth. This way, every day becomes a small step toward a life that truly makes you happy. Always take time to reflect on what you've learned. Look back at how you've developed and incorporate Stoic ideas into all areas of your life. The path to a Stoic life is characterized by patience, determination, and inner strength. And with each step, you will become more stable and find more inner peace until you move closer to the life you desire. Thank you for walking this path with us. May the teachings of the Stoics guide you as you seek happiness, and may they grant you courage, clarity, and inner peace. May you live a life filled with kindness, reflection, and the desire to be your best self.